politics in the United States of America. The left has gotten really left, and the right has gotten really right. Everyone's towing the line, and we're getting nowhere. Fast. This is the Rational American. The Rational American. Common sense has gone out the window, and our passion is to open eyes in hopes that people will take a rational look at what America is actually becoming. Put your feelings aside and let's get real. This is the Rational American, and this is your host, Steve Oatley.
Well, hello and welcome. As you can hear in the background, although it's very faint, she is still reading the jury instructions. This is Judge Jennifer R. Darrow reading the jury instructions. So I'm going to just kind of walk through some of this stuff, just like pretend you haven't been here all day watching it with us, right? So we've been watching for the past 3 weeks the murder trial of Darrell Brooks. He is the mass murderer who ran his mom's vehicle through the Waukesha Christmas parade, killing 6 people, injuring 61 others. Throughout the past 3 weeks, it's been one of the craziest trials that you've ever seen because we've heard, he claims to be a sovereign citizen, said the court has no jurisdiction, some of the same arguments that we've heard for a long time. And sorry, I was reading someone's comments in the chat. Don't direct people to other feeds during my live feed. That's just disrespectful, Windy. Anyway, what was I saying before I was so rudely interrupted? For the past 3 weeks, it's been like the biggest shit show in kind of everyone kind of knew it was going to happen, right? We all kind of knew it was going to be because it became very apparent that his attorney wasn't going to go along with the sovereign citizen stuff, so he petitioned the court to fire his attorney and represent himself. Against all the urging from the courts and everything, they approved his request. He did alter the form to try to have an attorney sit second chair to him, I guess to give him some guidance, to which the state or to which the judge said absolutely not. Like, if you want to defend yourself, defend yourself. And so he's proceeded to go on and defend himself. This is a live view from the camera. I do kind of have it on, and I could actually mute it and just play it in my ear, and then you can't hear it, but I can, which will be a kind of annoying. But it'll help me gauge when she's done reading the jury instructions and the jury actually goes. Because I'm curious, is she going to allow the jury to deliberate for an hour or two tonight? Or is she, like yesterday when they were talking about this, the plan was to have the jury get everything done today if they could, and then send the jury home, which would piss me off. Like, if I was on the jury, you're only getting paid $25 a day. Like, that would just tick me off, right? Because the jury, they should be allowed to deliberate soon. And now, I'll be honest, after listening to the closing argument from Darrell Brooks, I know that they're going to come back with guilty verdicts on all accounts. I pray that they are. I mean, this man for an hour got up there and cried about his life, about his children, about this. And notwithstanding the fact that we all know that he raped the mother of his child when she was 15. He actually went to prison for statutory rape. We know those facts. Of course, the jury doesn't know that. We know that just because, well, it was introduced. It wasn't introduced. They said if he was to bring up something, then they would, have to bring that up. Which, of course, he changed his tune real quick and was like, I won't bring it up. But the craziest thing about this whole case is that for an hour, we watched Darrell Brooks, the man on your screen right there, give his closing arguments. I'm trying to see if I can't. I don't know why. It's because I'm wearing a green shirt, so I have to keep the thing down. But see, because otherwise my shoulder disappears. Whatever. We heard for an hour or close to an hour him talk about his family, talk about this fake letter. And guys, the reason why I say fake letter is because we already know that it's a fake letter because he's already tried to introduce fake evidence. He's already tried to introduce letters from the girlfriend that he beat up and impregnated when she was 15 and went to jail. Erica, whatever her name was. He's tried to introduce letters that were reportedly written by her, which were not. He said he got photos of his kids from her. That they found out over phone calls that those letters or those photos of his kids were given to him by his mother because the jail records all the phone calls. So he's already tried to provide these fake letters. So obviously the just using common sense, you would understand that the letter that he spoke to from his daughter, or I think he said it was his daughter, was bullcrap. And here's the thing too, because he made a statement and said, in my daughter in the letter, even though I didn't read the whole thing, he's like, my daughter said, why is everyone saying all these bad things about you? Or these awful things you did or something like that, because he killed people. And we heard today that this man shows exactly zero remorse for his actions. He could have got up there and said, listen, I am so sorry it happened. I am so sorry. I don't know. I panicked. I effed up. I don't know, but I am sorry it happened. Instead, he went on a 45-minute cry fest talking about how his life is changed, calling himself a man of God. And then he even had the balls to say his conscience is clear. Like if when he said that, like that's where I got ready. I took off the headphones. I started pacing around the office because I couldn't believe he said it. I couldn't believe that he said his conscience is clear, because there's no way it could. He's never even have to ask the families for forgiveness. There's no way he has a clear conscience unless he is mentally challenged, unless he is truly a sociopath, and unless he did deliberately drive his car through the crowd of people trying to kill as many people as he did. That's the only thing that's the only thing I could surmise from his behavior today in the courtroom. And we're not even talking about all the back and forth and all the stupid shit that has transpired. We're not even talking about that. Just based off the closing arguments alone, that dude is guilty. And there's no deterrent. You can't, it's weird because we did polls on all the platforms, right? So on Facebook, 99% of the viewers said he was guilty, and that the judge, what the hell? A moth. There's a moth in my office. Can you guys see it? I got it. Oh, wait, no, I didn't. Ooh, I'm like a ninja. Did I catch it? No, I don't know where I went. But 99% of the people watching on Facebook all said that he's guilty. Hold on.
Well, I confer with Madam Clerk.
Oh, they're having a break. They're taking a break real quick. Everyone's having a standing break. I don't know what's going on here. Are they kicking a guy out? Or no, they're telling everybody to stand up. That's what it is. She's conferring with the clerk of the court. I just feel bad for the jury, because the jury, from what I understand, from what someone said, and I haven't verified whether it's true or not, someone said the jury is only getting paid $25 a day, and now they have to be sequestered. Oh my God. Can you imagine if there's one holdout? Like if there's just one person that's like, yeah, he's not guilty. He is not guilty. Can you imagine that? If there's just one holdout and the whole jury has to sit. Like, I would be pissed. Like, if I was on that jury today, I'd be like, no. We're not going back. Like, we should have the choice. I would fight with the judge. I would be like Darrell Brooks and be like, no, judge. If she's like, okay, we're going to stop for the night, we'll resume tomorrow. No, because the judge wants to go home and get her beauty rest. No, allow this jury to sit there and go over this case tonight, at least for a couple of hours. And I hope that that's what happens. He has there's been no, we heard an admission of guilt, sort of, today, where he was like, why would I do this intentionally? Or he said, they paint us, or, in his opening, he said, they say I'm a monster. They say this and that. Here's the definition of a monster. Someone that kills 61 people, or it kills 6 and injures 61 people, and doesn't ever once say, I'm sorry, to the victims, doesn't once mention the victims' names, calls up a victim, the mother of 4 of the victims, calls that mother to the stand to ask her about him honking the horn before he runs over their children, and doesn't even say anything. That's the testimony that we heard today, which is insane. That's the testimony we've heard over the past 3 weeks, which is absolutely crazy. The fact that I don't know, because don't they even have like this thing in them that makes them like lie in order to gain compassion? Has there ever been a trial? And I know a lot of people also watch trials. Has anyone ever seen a trial like this? I mean, we've covered a lot of trials, on this network and for these shows. And I can't say I've honestly ever seen a trial like this where a defendant is so adamant that he is being wronged. Do you know what I mean? Like every single part of his conversation was that he is being wronged, that the courts are against him, that the judge is against him, that the state is against him, that the jail is against him, that he's being held in solitary confinement. And the judge is like, you're being held in solitary confinement for your own protection. Your own protection. He doesn't understand what these other inmates are going to do. This guy is vulnerable as shit. You could tell he is prey. When he goes to jail and he's in Gen Pop, you know what's going to happen to the guy. Good. Rightfully so. It'll release a tax burden. And I hope, can I say that? I don't hope. Well, yeah, I do. So I'm just going to stop talking. I'm not even going to talk about it anymore. Someone said a lawyer would have made no difference except faster. Yeah, a lawyer wouldn't have done the shit he did. The lawyer would have got admonished and sanctioned and everything in court. This judge, he kept saying, are you going to hold me in contempt again? She never held him in contempt. That's why he was doing it. He wanted her to place her in contempt because one of the conditions of contempt is that he would have to, in order for the trial to continue, once he's placed in contempt, is he would have to swear that he is going to follow the rules and instructions. And that he never did that. Any of the times the judge would just let him back in. He would say, I want to come back in. She'd be like, are you going to act accordingly? He'd be like, I want to come back in. And she would let him back into the courtroom every single time. And I understand it's because of the grounds.
Darrell Brooks, guilty.
It's because of the grounds because she doesn't want an acquittal or not an acquittal, appeals. She wants to make, this an open and shut case, I guess. I've just never seen anything like this, ever. I've never seen anything like this. She's back on. I know. I have it up. This is the live feed right here in your screen. And I have the audio. I'm just not going to listen to it. Because she's just going over the court instructions on saying, for each individual charge. And there's 71 charges on whether or not he's guilty or not. or she's going over the judge or the jury forms that they have to fill out on each individual charge. So no matter what, it's not going to take, they could all sit down. Like seriously, it could go like this. They could appoint one person as the what is it, head juror, the fountain chairman of the jury, whatever it's called. And they could sit there and there's a moth in here and it's tickling my ankles. She could literally say, or that jury could go in there and just be like, okay, what do you think? Guilty on all counts? Okay, guilty. I'm not sure. And you know what I mean? And then it just goes around the room like that. I was trying to play devil's advocate for some time saying, my definition of intent wasn't met. After hearing everything my definition of intent, he intended to kill those people because just like the prosecutor said in her closing argument, she's like, if it wasn't intentional, he could have stopped after hitting the first person. He could have stopped, but he made the determination to drive. And we heard him try to blame it on a faulty throttle body, even though the jury and the court should have said, you've already heard testimony from a state trooper who was also, a mechanic who verified that the vehicle was fine. And maybe the judge can't say that. Maybe that's the issue. Did she just finish reading it?
Count 42.
Nope. 42 of 71. So she's over halfway done. She had to get some water. It's a lot of talking for her. It's the most talking she's ever done. Lisa said, I've never watched an entire trial before this one. I have to say I'm at a loss for words or the correct verbs to describe how I felt each day. Yeah, it's weird. it's weird because there's been some levity in it. And I know a lot of people would be like, oh, Steve, you're making jokes or you're doing funny voices or something at, dull points of the case. And that's bad for the victims and blah, blah, blah. Here's the thing. There's plenty of other live streamers and plenty of other law and crime. There's plenty of other organizations that are putting this out. And if you want to do it, I do try to bring levity into what I do because otherwise we are just all going to be sitting around wondering why this country is so freaking nuts. The fact that a person even could get that close to a parade is concerning in itself, especially with all the terrorism and vehicle-borne terrorism attacks that have happened in the past 15, 20 years. The fact that any parade, whether it's a small town or not, isn't being blocked by garbage trucks. Heck, my small town where my store is in Woodstock, Virginia, when they do a parade, or not even a parade, when they do an event where they close down the front, they rent garbage trucks to block off the streets. And that was before the parade. Every city should do that. But when you actually think about how we even got to this point where we do that, it's because people like this, people that show zero remorse at all, zero remorse. And for a lot of people, here's the thing, this was entirely preventable. The barricades that could have been put up could have stopped it. The fact is, this guy ran over his girlfriend a couple of days before this, or a month or two before this, was put into jail and then released on an extremely low bond. Released on an extremely low bond to reoffend. So what's he do? He goes out and he beats up the girlfriend. And again, this girlfriend, the Erica one that he beat up in the car the day of this attack and the day before too, even though those you couldn't talk about that. When all that happened, that same girl was the girl that he was locked up in Nevada for raping and got her pregnant when she was 15 years old. He was charged with statutory rape and locked up. I don't know how old he was, but I mean, we could go back. I could probably look up her age and find out how old he was when he was locked up. It's not a case of an 18-year-old and a 15-year-old and, he just turned 18 and she was locked and he got locked up. That's not the case from what I understand. But you're not allowed to know that evidence. You're not allowed to know about all his prior convictions. That's the thing that I don't understand about our justice system is those are who make people. You know what I mean? Good and bad. Convictions are what make the character of someone. Do you know what I mean? And I know a lot of you guys are like, whoa, Steve, like I was convicted of a DWI in 1987. It doesn't matter. You still learned from that conviction, right? You still learned what not to do. Those are the things. There's stupid shit I've done in my life that I would never take back. Sure, I take back who they affected and shit like that. I would never take back those actions because that's who made me who I am today. That's what made me the dad I am and the husband I am and the business owner I am. I always say I learned from people on what not to be, and that's how I came to be who I am today. Exceptional, right? In all reality, I got most of my parenting skills and most of my marriage tips and all that stuff from movies because I didn't have those adult role models growing up. Most of the people that have been watching me for a long time, they understand that. I didn't have those people. Heck, I didn't even have siblings for many years, many years until I was an adult, until my wife came into my life and urged me to go and talk to everybody. Because I wasn't, for a long time, I wasn't a great person. And I say it all the time, I wouldn't take back any of those things because they made me who I am today. The immense confidence, the stunning handsomeness, all that stuff. Those are my life choices, my life behaviors, and my life mistakes that made me into this today. But they also are a telling sign of when someone doesn't change and they follow a pattern of abuse and they follow a pattern of being abusers. Do you know what I mean? So by erasing those histories, and you can make an argument and say, oh, well, if someone does good, and so I get why judges and juries and all that, but even witnesses, you're not allowed to probe them about what they were convicted for or anything like that. We saw it in the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. Any of the victims that were there, even though the fact that 2 of the 3 were pedophiles, you weren't allowed to talk about that in the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. Why? Because that would prejudice the jury on whether or not those people deserve to die, regardless of the fact that he was defending his life because they were attacking him. Do you know what I mean?
Answer the following question.
Which one are we
yes
on
or
now?
no.
Whatever. You guys just keep track of it on the chat, if you will. But it's someone said no citizen stringer on YouTube. I doubt it. No, we're live. There's 133 people watching on that page. We're live everywhere on YouTube. We got a lot of people watching now. Stop interrupting me. But it's crazy. What the fuck? I think I have all this coffee in here, so I'll like the insects. And you know what it is? It got warm. So it was cold yesterday, and all these fuckers will die probably. There's like a moth and like 2 little flies that are flying around here, and I hate it. I hate it. But don't worry, they're not in the coffee room. That's on the other side of the warehouse. I didn't show you guys that when I walked through. I have a room specifically for coffee, for packaging and storing. Well, in the summer, it's for storing coffee because it's an AC room. But that's on the back end under those stairs, kind of. But yeah, it's crazy stuff. This whole case is crazy, and our judicial system sometimes is crazy. You know, it really is. Hey, Virginia Realtor, why don't you go to law school? You should go to law school. I'll be your paralegal. You just go to law school. You've already got, advanced degrees anyway. Just go to law school. I'll be your paralegal. I'll do all the heavy lifting and look good doing it. And then you could just make all the money and we'll split it 50-50. Right? Like we were supposed to on the commission for my house. Yeah. Don't think I forgot about that. But, man, it's funny because, I said it earlier today, and every single time I watch these trials or every single time, I watch law shows, which I watch a lot because I like them. I'm always like, man, I should have been a lawyer. And then I was joking about it today with you guys. And I'm like, man, I bet I could crowdsource a fucking education right on here. Just do live streams, go finish my bachelor's degree, go to law school. Run the coffee company to pay my way through law school. Don't like strippers do that? They go and strip to pay for med school or something. I could just run a coffee company to pay my way through law school and then just be a kick-ass attorney. Like, I wonder if I could get the title the world's strongest attorney. I bet I could. I don't know. I'm not going to law school. That's way too much work. I already have a problem finishing one project or not. Can you imagine going back to school at 38 years old? I almost would do it. Like one of my brothers, he went to school and got like a master's degree without telling anybody. He did, but no, I didn't know that he finished. I knew he was going for his bachelor's, and all of a sudden he's like, yeah, man, graduated with a master's degree. I'm like, fuckers, man. My other brother's got like 5 million master's degrees and going for his doctorate. Here I am, just, this business guy struggling. It's fucking stupid, but that's it. Someone said you can examine the bar while I build taking shots. Yeah, right. That's the kind of bar I'm talking about. Someday I'll own a bar too. That's on my bucket list. I want to own a bar. What are they doing?
You can add them to this. Yep. And here's, if you want these too.
I think they're taking a moment to stand up.
Mm-hmm. That's more.
Oh, yeah, it does. We did all this.
Oh, did it? Yeah.
Want to see the stares that he's getting from behind? Someone said you could give Tom Fit and Judicial Watch a run for his money. Yeah, I'm stronger than him, man. He's just got big biceps.
All right.
But he's probably a short dude. Like I would guess that Tom Fitton is a short guy. I wouldn't think he's very tough.
56.
56. So they have what? 15 more? 15 more. Debbie said, my brother-in-law and nephews are attorneys. You have a bunch of cases you have to juggle at once. You have to be a master multitasker, or you just got really good paralegals. Maybe that's what I should do. I should crowdsource, go back to school, and then I could have the super smart brother that has multiple degrees and stuff. He could be my paralegal. He would never do that. I guarantee if I got my bachelor's and went to law school, that fucker would have his law degree quicker than shit. He would be like, you know, I thought he was going to be a doctor, like a PhD doctor, or even a medical doctor. The fucking dude's got like 7 million degrees. But unbelievable. Unbelievable. Crazy stuff. Mike Comstock said, I ran a strip club for years. They were all working to pay for school. Yeah, right. Fenton is 20 years older than you. Looks good for his age, said My Country too. I know. I'm just messing around. I'm not being mean. Someone said, I hope you wrote a song for the verdict. I don't really have the energy in it for me to do that anymore, because I'll be honest, it's listening to the closing arguments from both sides. Like the state's closing argument was good. You know what I mean? It had its effect. It was meant to shock the jurors that have had weeks worth of testimony and especially the past week of just bullshit and getting kicked out and kicked in and kicked out and kicked in. It reminded them about the how heinous his actions were and crimes were. And then his closing argument was just a fucking pity party cry fest for himself. Not once did he ask for forgiveness. Not once did he say, I'm sorry. Not once. Yeah, in fact, he said the opposite. He said his conscience is clear, and he almost gave the how dare they do this to me attitude. And then I almost believed at one moment he tried to blame this as an act of God. Did anyone catch that from him? Did anyone catch that from him where it seemed that he was almost saying, like implying that his running over all these people was an act of God and that he was acting on behalf of God? Like, fucking weird, bro. And that's all a gimmick too. That's all an act as well. You know that dude doesn't believe in God. You know he's not a follower. He's not even reading right now. He's probably thinking about what they're getting for dinner. I hope he gets bologna sandwiches on stale bread for the rest of his frickin' life. But it's sad, man. Tom Fenton is 6'1". Everyone's talking about Tom Fenton. You guys are going to start a social media war with me and Tom Fenton, right? Well, Tom Fenton, I challenge you to a deadlift contest whenever you're ready. I think you're in the DC area too. Let's do it. Deadlift for charity. All right, we'll start with 585. How about that? Most rep wins. I'll do $100 per rep to donate to a charity of your choice. Not your own charity, though. That's cheap. How about that? You guys can clip that and share that out if you want. Challenge accepted. But we got to start at 585 because not many people can pull 585 for like 6 or 7 or 8. I can. And I'm drug tested too. This is drug tested competition, Tom Fenton. Is Steve going to stream the Oz Fetterwoman debate? You know, I did think about doing that. I don't know how long I'm going to be able to stay live today. I've been up for a long time. I haven't had dinner yet because obviously I've been here the entire time. My time right now, it's 7:10 p.m. I thought about doing it. I was going to have the guest on. I think I did get an email, but I don't even want to talk about this fucking trial anymore. I'm so over it. I want a guilty verdict tonight. I really hope, sincerely hope. Let's see where she is.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of first degree.
Every time I hear that, I'm like, oh, yeah. Hopefully it's stinging him, like part of him is dying, like every time that happens.
Defendant guilty of first degree, recklessly endangering safety.
Someone said when he's feeling guilty, race card incoming. No, I don't think so because he has he killed so many people. You know,
one reading.
Count 64. So we still have a while. It's just crazy. It's in an hour, brother. Let's have a drinking game. See, I got to see where that's being live streamed. If it's being live streamed, I mean, I could play it like this and just kind of mute it and provide commentary every now and then. You guys think I should do that? I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll have to order dinner. But Fox News said jury must decide 76 charges. Injuries plus 6 deaths might not know until 3 days from now. I'm glad that Fox News is actually talking about this trial now. Like, I'm glad mainstream media is. I'm glad that so many people, that dude's licking his lip. Oh, he just said F you into the media. Or no, he said that to Darrell Brooks. See that staring at the back of his head? Did you guys see that? That dude in the back? I swear he just went, fuck you. I swear he did. I swear he did.
Did the defendant commit first degree recklessly endangering?
I swear he did. He looks pissed. People said he's been there before. The black dude that was behind him for a little bit, he's definitely on Darrell Brooks' side. I don't know who he is. Someone said it's Jay something, that he's thinks that Darrell Brooks is innocent, which I don't know how you could think that. The dude was caught behind the vehicle. Anyway, when there was some jury or some instruction that the court made prior, and he actually threw his arms up in the air because he was so upset. 11 2 times said he did. Yeah. I feel like the dude in the back has an angry English accent for some reason. He does. He looks like someone that would be in like a football. Like, dude, he's saying fuck you or something, bro. Or he's just got a lip twitch.
Guilty of first degree, recklessly endangering safety as charged in count 66.
I don't want to pick on him because I don't know what he's doing. He could have like
find the defendant guilty
facial
of
issues.
First degree, recklessly endangering safety. Answer the following question: yes or no. Did the defendant commit?
He looks mad. He does. He looks like someone from like an English footballer movie, like a UK movie. He looks pissed, doesn't he? Well, let me put this shit on full screen.
The defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, not guilty of first degree, recklessly endangering safety as charged in count 67 of the information. Another reading, we the jury find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of first degree, recklessly endangering safety.
So they're still just reading it. Oops. So I'll keep it up in the corner. I got to figure out why it's transitioning so slow. I'll figure it out eventually.
Answer the following.
I think they're on 68 or something like that. But it's crazy stuff, man. This trial has been one of the craziest things I've watched. And the sheer amount of people that have been watching it with us. Like, shit, right now on social media, there's 2,000 people watching. And we're just talking about it. Technically, this is verdict watch. At this point, she's going to finish the instructions to him or to the jury here in a few minutes. They're wrapping it up. She's then going to send the jury out to do their deliberations. Hopefully. I hope they do a deliberation tonight. Because I'm curious to see, do you think that they will, because here's the thing, they could poll the group and everyone could be like guilty. Because right now I'd be guilty on all counts, every single one of them. The bail jumping, though, they didn't even talk about. Like those may be the only ones where the jury's like, listen, we don't have any evidence of the bail jumping. I don't think we heard anything about bail jumping. Have any of you guys heard anything in any of this testimony? I don't think we've heard anything about it. We know he was bail jumping because he, jumped his bail. We know that. But I don't think they talked about it. I could be wrong. But tomorrow around lunchtime, we should know, Will Redding said. What? Are you talking about a verdict? I don't know. So someone said, I've seen 12 people streaming this. Yeah, there's a lot of people streaming it. There's more so now. I mean, I've been covering it. What the shit? Did they just cut it? What? All right, let me find a different one. They just cut the feed. Fox. That's why Fox sucks. What is that? What is that shit? Oh, come on, you fucker. How dare they? I'm trying to find one that's not super fucking watermarked. Let's just do this one. It's watermarked as fuck, but whatever. Sound guy with a $9 super chat. Thank you, dude.
E. Brooks, not guilty of hit and run.
So, what does the term bail jumping stand for? It means when you're out on bail, right? And so you have conditions of release, which means like you're not allowed to do this, you're not allowed to do that, you're not allowed to get any other crimes or anything. And if you do something, then what you end up doing is getting a violation. So they'll revoke your bail essentially. And then when you don't show up to court, that's bail jumping. It means that you've skirted town, you've fled. And so that's essentially what he did. He violated his terms. They revoked his bail, and he and a bail bondsman, I think, could also single-handedly, like if you don't follow their terms, some bail bondsmen have like requirements where you have to come in every 2 days and do piss tests. I know I paid bail for people. I forgot who it was. It was a girl that was caught shoplifting or something. They were family friends when we lived down in Florida. The family didn't have any money. So I actually covered the bail. They came up with the cash, but I had to put up the security for them, which was, I knew they were good for it. I ended up buying a convenience store off of those people. So I knew they were good for it. They just didn't have any money. So we paid the bail for the daughter who was accused of shoplifting. They ended up dropping the charges because it was a workers' dispute. But I remember they went through all sorts of shit. Like she had to go in and do UAs, piss tests at that bail place all the time. I think it was like once a week she had to go in. And that was their way of keeping them on tap. Bail bondsmen can come in and do home inspections if they want. It's all on the conditions of the bail.
Of the offenses charged.
That's what it is.
You must make a finding as to each count of the information.
Steve,
Each
this is the
count
link going to
charges a
stream the
separate
debates.
crime, and you must
Yeah, I don't know what
consider
you're talking
each
about. Don't put
one
links in the chat
separately.
either.
Your verdict of the crime charged
You know what I'm
in
saying?
one
I got
count
that one
must
real
not
quick.
affect your
Look,
verdict
don't do it.
on any other count.
I don't see. If I was in Pennsylvania, I don't know who I'd vote for. I wouldn't vote for Fetterman, but I wouldn't want to vote for Dr. Oz either. The dude's not a Republican. He's not. I don't care who you. But he is a Republican. He's not a conservative.
All 12 jurors must agree.
In my
to
humble
arrive at a
opinion.
verdict. When you retire to the
You
jury
vote for the
room,
lesser of two
select one
evils?
your members
I've kind of made a
to
pact with
serve
myself. I'm not
over
doing that shit anymore.
deliberations.
I'm not voting for someone. If I don't like their policies, like Ben Klein, sorry, dude, you won't come on my show. You're not getting
If you need to
my vote,
communicate with the court
which means
while
I'm
you
just
are
not voting
deliberating,
in
send
that
a note
particular
to the
race.
bailiff
I'm not going to vote for the
signed
Democrat who's running.
deliberating.
She's a nutbag. But Ben Klein sends $40 billion of taxpayer money to Ukraine over veterans who are sleeping on the streets. It's kind of a no-brainer to me. You know what I mean? Ow. It's weird. We have 1,994 people watching on social media right now. 1994. Very odd. A very weird number. She should be done soon.
The court will answer any questions in writing or orally.
I just want to hear the
in
instructions.
open court. When you have agreed upon your verdict, have it signed
This is
and dated
finalizing it
by
right
the
now.
person you have selected to preside. After you have reached a verdict, the presiding juror will notify the bailiff that a verdict has been reached. Everyone will return to the courtroom. The verdicts will be read into the record in open court. The court may ask each of you if you agree with the verdicts. Before I swear the officers, we will determine the alternates, and then I will have all of the civilian bailiffs and deputy bailiffs that will be in charge of the jury during their deliberations and sequestration. Yeah, let's.
And yes, they are going to be sequestered, so they're going to be in a hotel. Someone said it's the part now, not the something. I don't know what you're talking about.
I have a lot of stuff up here.
He's going to jail.
There we go.
I counted and recounted 15.
What time is the Dr. Oz debate? Is it 7 or 8 o'clock?
So we have placed each one of your numbers in the tumbler. I'm going to draw 3 numbers. Those numbers will be the alternates, who will nonetheless be sequestered in the event we would need to call upon one of you to replace another juror.
I don't know if she's going to let him.
First
She
number
should let
that
him
I'm
go for a
pulling
couple
out
hours today.
Is 10.
Juror number 10 is on. Or are these alternates?
The second number I am pulling out is 30.
30.
And the third number I am pulling out is 1.
Okay, so those are the 3 that are not
I
making
want
the
to
cut. They're
confirm
alternates.
that I still have 12. I know Madam Clerk did it, but I will also do that to be sure.
So do the alternates, are they still sequestered? Like if a juror gets sick suddenly or something like that? How does that work? What happens if like one of the jurors, like something happens to said juror? The alternates are sequestered? Gotcha. So that fucking sucks for them. So do the alternates get to go in the deliberation room with them? They just don't get to cast a vote? No, they don't. Oh, the alternates are the alternates in another room?
And I just confirmed that the other 12
Gotcha.
members were in there.
That would suck. So if something happens to one of the jurors, then they have to catch up the alternate, which is going to take forever.
All right, then.
Still get paid $25 a day.
All of the deputies.
They get
and
moved to
civilian
another
bailiffs
room.
come up and be sworn on the record.
What the hell are civilian
Sequestration
bailiffs?
and, I'll go ahead and do it.
You think they'd have to be in the deliberation? Yeah, that would make sense. They do no go in room, so they don't go in the
Court
room.
pause, why don't you join them just in case you're needed?
Take lots of nap, read a book, paint my nails. Yeah, that would piss me off because you can't watch TV or nothing. Radical Steve said it's a party we're voting for
Right,
at this
Joel,
point, not the
please raise
man.
your right hand.
I know it sucks, but that would be the
Do you
system. We
swear
need
that you
PA
will
or
keep all
Georgia.
jurors
Both would be
on this
great.
trial together in some private and convenient place, and that you will not allow any person to speak to them or you speak to them yourself, except to ask whether they have agreed on their verdict, and that you will not, before they render their verdict, communicate to any person the state of their deliberations or the verdict they have agreed upon, so help you God. All right, and then Madam Clerk will just make a record of who you all are. It will take us a moment just to have all the finalized
Why didn't they do this shit in the
paperwork
beginning?
to go back with the jury. I do have all of the verdict forms, if I want to give that to Jen.
Yeah, right. They're probably. You better hope they're not staying in a Days Inn. You know, at least give them a 5-star. You know, 5-star. That's what I would be like. I'd be like, yeah, listen, dude, you're only paying me $25 a day.
All right.
I want the
Here
Hilton.
are
All right, room service.
jury instructions.
I'd be eating like a pig the entire time.
For the record, it's 6:24. All rise for the jury as they're excused to begin their deliberations.
Ooh, they're beginning to deliberations today? That wasn't even the plan yesterday, boys and girls. That was not the plan. The plan was that they were going to be sent to the hotel for the night. She changed her mind. She changed her mind. So what? I wonder what they're going to do. Are they going to leave it on the entire day? Does that mean I have to stay live until we hear something? What they said is they're giving an hour notice and if any of you guys are near Waukesha, they're giving an hour notice, and then 15 minutes before you can go in and sit there at the sentencing. 15 minutes before.
Is that closed? No. All right, thank you. You may be seated. Just so the record is clear, the alternates, of course, will not be participating in the deliberations. They will be in a separate jury deliberation room and will only be called upon if needed.
Yes, Steve, change your goal number. I don't even have the goal on this page.
The parties. As far as how late, I will let them deliberate tonight. We have ordered dinner for them. I believe it will be here shortly.
I want dinner.
And I really will leave it up to them as to how late they want to deliberate before they would want a break and then to retire for the evening. They are under a sequestration order, so they will be kept separate and apart. Their electronics have been confiscated.
Fuck that.
And they will not be going home.
There's no
until
fucking way.
verdicts
I
have
would
been
be so
reached or
pissed.
They are discharged from the court, whichever would occur sooner. Anything
So pissed.
else
Can't even have the
parties would
phone?
want me to address at this moment from the state?
Oh, here we go.
Anything from you, sir?
Yep.
Yep.
So essentially, I'm gonna have to stay here while they're delivering. I'm gonna be able to go back to my unit, use the phone, shower. It is shower day for my pods. I only get 2 shower days a
I
week.
don't, so here's what could happen though, sir. I don't have a problem with you doing that, but they could have questions. And then you would need to become available so we could address any questions. They may ask for exhibits.
Don't let him go
or
back.
Things of that nature.
Put him in a
So as long
fucking
as you're
cold
willing
holding
to
cell.
come back for those things. I don't have an issue if, I probably should talk to the COs or at least the sheriff and make sure I'm not stepping on their toes since they're in charge of all of that.
Fuck
But
that.
it's possible that we get a request for exhibits, some exhibits initially. I wouldn't be surprised if we got that. So let me do this. Let me confer with the sheriff's department. I don't initially see an issue with that, but I want to make
Why is
sure
she
that
being nice?
they have a protocol in place, and that's what they would like to do as well, okay?
And one more thing.
Go ahead.
I was curious. 61 charges for the reckless. 61 injured parties did not testify.
Oh, you're fucking stupid.
So how does
dude.
that work? Essentially how are charges able to be charged if all
It's
the
done.
injured parties
It's
did not
done,
testify?
fucker.
From my perspective, sir, the state presented their theory of the case, and there was sufficient evidence regarding the charges to go forward to the jury. I can't further explain it from there because that would require me to explain the law. And I guess that's all I can really say about it at this point.
I got a point though.
I'm sorry?
I got a point though.
No, you don't.
I'm not going to comment on that, sir.
This dude's so fucking dumb.
Of course, the state bears the burden of proof.
Look at
and they have to convince a jury beyond a reasonable doubt. For better or for worse, sir, I was not presented with any motions to dismiss, either at the end of the state's case or the close of the evidence, regarding any legal arguments you may have had regarding those issues. And so at this point,
Curious.
the jury has the case, and they will determine their verdicts. If there are issues of law that you want to raise after the verdicts are received, then you'll have to make that determination.
Yeah, that has to be raised because it's essentially you can't. If no injured
Dude, I'm
party
so tired of
testify-
hearing his fucking voice. Like, I'm so tired of hearing him. Like, I really am. I'm
That's
so
me
tired
based
of
in law or fact, so for me to comment any further would require me to give an advisory opinion, which I'm not willing to do.
So you saying I need to make a motion?
So what I will
Why is he
say at this
smiling?
point is I do have one issue that I would like to raise with the parties. I frankly I need a break a little bit. I mean, obviously the court has to stay open. I know my dinner is coming. And I think it's reasonable. I need to put a few things together, but I do need to make a record of some information that I received earlier today, so that the parties are advised of that. But I will do that.
Now we're going to have to watch to see what that
Let me
record is.
confer with the sheriff's department about your requests. I'd like to take in about 30 minutes, address the issues that I need to address, or
8
the
o'clock
issue.
Eastern.
And I want to find out if that would interfere with your request about taking a shower and all of that. So.
No
if you can
shower
hold
for
tight
you.
and stay with us for a little bit.
The shower Nazi.
That would be great, and I'll confer with the sheriff's department and have a more definitive answer for you shortly, okay?
Can I get my filings?
Oh my God, I hate him.
You
Like,
want
if
the-
hate is a strong ass word.
You want the originals back. If Madam Clerk has scanned them all in and they're uploaded, I don't have an issue giving you the originals back. They will have the date stamp. They don't have a time because they were filed in court.
When he put the time on, I also, so that you knew they were in there, printed them after I scanned them in, so it has a document number.
So you're getting 2 copies. So you'll have that, okay?
See, I didn't interrupt you. See,
Shut up.
I'm sorry?
I said, see, I didn't interrupt you.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Unless I would like the parties back in about a half an hour.
What the fuck is
Thank you,
happening,
unless
dude?
they have a question sooner.
What the fuck is happening? See that fucking stupid smile? I don't think I've ever seen the guy
Do I
smile.
have to go in that holding cell or do I get to go?
Oh my God. Like, what the fudge? Unbelievable. So we can watch the Dr. Oz debate. Do you guys want to first tune in to this Gretchen Whitmer, Tudor Dixon debate for governor of Michigan? You guys want to hear that? That debate's live. I'm probably going to get copywritten and shit like that. I wonder if I could find a feed that's not fucking this. Let me see. You guys want to see that debate? All right. Some people said yes real quick. So let me just try to find a different link for it because I do have one up, but I want to try to avoid getting my shit taken down. You know what I'm saying? Was it live? Yeah, it is live. All right, here we go. I found one. They're all fucking grabbing the same one, so whatever. I might as well.
Sexual content. We're talking about pornography in schools. Parents have risen up across the state. They've asked Gretchen Whitmer to comment, and she's been silent on this issue, so I'm anxious to hear what she has to say. If you have material in your school that is something that you can't read to a child at a bus stop because you would be arrested because it is pornographic, then it should not be in our classrooms. What these parents are talking about are not textbooks that will help children learn about themselves. These are books that are describing to children how to have sex, and parents are outraged about it across the state. I stand with those parents that want to make sure we go back to the basics of reading, writing, and math in our schools.
Thank you, Mrs. Dixon. Governor?
Yes, so let me start with this. As a public school parent, I know that we have rights to understand the curriculum, the materials, to opt our children out if we think that it doesn't keep in line with our desires in terms of what they are learning. Also, parents can attend parent-teacher conferences, take part in the debate that is happening, and these are happening at the local level, where they should be, so that parents can be involved. We also have a duty to make sure that all children feel accepted and safe and can learn and play when they are in school. I reject the false choice that it has to be one or the other. But I'll also tell you this, is with a really heavy heart that I see politicians try to wedge communities against one another. It is dangerous and it is selfish. Mrs. Dixon hosted someone on her show that said Martin Luther King Jr. shouldn't be in our history books. This is what we're talking about. We need to bring down the temperature and solve the problems to make sure parents are involved and students feel comfortable, and we're giving them a robust education.
30 seconds, Mrs. Dixon.
Well, I guess we've received the answer now that she is not going to stand with parents on this issue who are crying out across the state. In fact, I had a gentleman come up to me just a few nights ago, and he said, I found content in my school library describing how to have sex to my son. I went to the Democrats and I said, I cannot believe that this is in there. And they said, you are no longer a part of our party. He said, just a few weeks ago, not only was I a Democrat, but I was running for office as a Democrat. He said, because Democrats won't stand up for our children and go back to the basics, I'm leaving the Democrat Party.
Governor?
Do you really think books are more dangerous than guns? Like, do you really think that books pose a greater danger to our kids than gun violence does? Mrs. Dixon is trying to distract us. She's trying to divert attention from the fact that she's bankrolled by Betsy DeVos. She has endorsed Betsy DeVos's plan to drain $500 million out of our public schools, and that's why she's waging these fights. We have to protect our kids.
Chuck?
All right. Governor, 4 years ago, you won election mainly because of a phrase that you used that said, fix the damn roads. We know that there's construction going on because everywhere we go, we see orange barrels. My question is, are we building better roads, or are we just putting Band-Aids on a cancerous infrastructure?
Well, you know, I love talking about the roads. The reason I focus on the roads is because when you have a busted rim, it can be money out of rent. It can be money out of childcare. And that's why fixing the damn roads has been so important. Let's be clear. We are addressing decades of disinvestment. We've already rebuilt 13,000 lane miles, 900 bridges. There are orange cones and barrels all over the state because we are fixing the roads. The fact of the matter is, this is a huge issue for our economy, our personal safety. It is so crucial that we continue this work, but it's all in jeopardy. As we think about what's Michigan going to look like 4, 8, 12 years down the road, We have to have solid infrastructure. But with plans to cut $12 billion out of the general fund and no plan to replace it, that will set us back in terms of rebuilding infrastructure back to decades of disinvestment. It'll mean money out of public safety and out of our kids' education. We can't afford to have that kind of leadership.
Governor, really very quick follow-up. Yes or no? Are we using better materials?
We are. We're using the right mix and materials. And as you can see, when you're driving by, we're taking the roads all the way down to gravel and rebuilding them. They're built to last. It's not just papering over like, unfortunately, has been done for years in the state prior to me taking office.
All right. Mrs. Dixon, if elected the next governor of this state, will you continue what we see going on with the construction of our roads, or will you change the process in any way, shape, or form?
We will work to make sure that there actually is a plan for the roads. She stood on the debate stage 4 years ago and said she had a plan, but let's remember, there was no plan. The plan was to raise the gas tax by 45 cents a gallon, and you would be paying $5 a gallon for gas right now. That obviously didn't work. And then when she was given road funding by the legislature because she didn't get her gas tax increase, she vetoed it. She had a lot of vetoes at that time, also vetoed autism funding for families. This was a tantrum because she didn't get her road funding. We want to make sure that it is a priority. And think about this. If it were a priority back then when she stood on this debate stage, in the 4 years that the budget increased by nearly $20 billion, you would have thought that she would be able to find road funding in that time to actually fix the roads instead of just throwing a bunch of orange barrels out before the next election.
Governor, your rebuttal.
So listen, I'm not even going to respond to all of that. I'm going to tell you this. We are going to continue to fix the damn roads, rebuilding this state. What's up next is Miller Road Bridge. What's up next is Mound Road, 696, 275. These are important arteries in this part of the state that you will see work being done. We need to continue this. It doesn't end. Unfortunately, we have to continue to rebuild infrastructure, but we're making headway, and we got to put our foot on the gas.
Ms. Dixon.
People are wondering when the road from their house to work will be fixed. When will that be a priority? Because it's absolutely true that a broken rim is devastating. I know because I had one this year. In fact, I've had 5 flat tires on these roads. They are a total disaster. And they're costing the people of Michigan $5,000 a year in road repairs. So if this is how she fixes the roads, well, I guess we can look back at her other promises too. What were they? Transparency, clean water, fixing the roads? Failures.
Oh.
All right. In this same infrastructure, starting with you,
she
Mrs.
lit
Dixon,
that
I'm
fire.
curious, how will you improve internet infrastructure and access, especially up in the UP?
Never seen Tudor Dixon before, but she's
yeah, it's critical for us to
sounds like she'd
work
be a good
with
candidate.
our private sector to expand these projects across the state of Michigan. And in fact, once we do that, we will see the economic development that we so desperately need. Right now, not only are our children suffering because we don't have broadband, especially during a time when they were kept at home for online learning, which is why so many of our kids are so far behind, but even our farmers are suffering because they don't have access to broadband. So I will partner with our broadband companies and talk to them about how they can expand. In fact, one of the great things about the tunnel that will be built for Line 5 is that we can also run broadband access through that tunnel and make sure that we can expand our access into the Upper Peninsula. And I will make sure to take advantage of that tunnel that will be gifted to the state of Michigan.
Governor?
I got to tell you, I am so grateful that the Chamber of Commerce for Northern Michigan has endorsed my candidacy. This is because we've been working closely to make sure that we created an Office of Rural Development. We created an office specifically about increasing broadband access. 23,000 homes have already been added online. Now, what we can't afford is someone who's going to take political pot shots instead of roll up their sleeves and solve problems. When the Infrastructure and Jobs Act passed, Mrs. Dixon called it fake. She snubbed her nose at it because she doesn't like the guy in the White House. We need a governor who's not going to score political points, but roll up their sleeves and get things done. $10 billion is coming into Michigan. We are going to deploy those resources to make sure that we get everyone connected. We're making progress, and there's more good work to do, but we got to continue the work and not play political games. I will fight for every dime to come into the state of Michigan so I can make your life better.
Mrs. Dixon?
You should be careful of where all of your dimes go if Gretchen Whitmer is in charge, because she just offered $715 million of your taxpayer dollars to a Chinese corporation to come to the state of Michigan. So she can tell you all she wants that she is improving economic development and keeping automotive jobs here. But we're hearing that battery plants are going outside of Michigan unless they're owned by the Chinese and have strong ties to the Chinese Communist Party. Your taxpayer dollars are not safe with Gretchen Whitmer.
Governor?
There was a lot to take in on that one. I'll say this. We are making historic progress when it comes to economic development. Whether it's Goshen that is changing Big Rapids and building long-range batteries, or our next energy, or Magna that we announced today. Mrs. Dixon has worked against economic development incentives that I worked in a bipartisan.
Wait.
I don't know if this is real. It's got to be real. After the Holocaust Museum in Los Angeles invited Kanye West to visit, it began receiving death messages filled with hate threats and vitriol. He later publicly rejected the offer, claiming falsely, according to Jamil Smith, that Planned Parenthoods were our Black People's Holocaust Museum. That dude is not going to stop. You can't, like, I'll be honest with you. Let's go off on a tangent for a little bit. Because this is stupid. I can hear her dentures clapping, and it's fucking annoying. So I'll switch back. I'll turn on the volume every time she's not talking. How about that? Is that a neutral? Well, actually, we're not news anymore. Or I'm not. I'm a person. I'm an individual. Kanye West doesn't give two shits about anything. He is going scorched earth on everything. And although I disagree with a lot of what he says, the fire that he's speaking
Drivers drive.
She's still...
By
You can hear it.
Previously. There also is a group of people who have been injured, especially those pre this law, who we need to ensure get the care they contracted
scary
for
looking.
at the rate so that they can actually get those services. There's been a lawsuit. We know that this case is still in front of the court, but I've been trying to reach out to the legislature to help make sure that we address those rates and ensure that rates are being paid on time.
And Mrs. Dixon, if you are elected, these folks would be looking to you for this help. What would you do?
I agree that we had insurance rates that were way too high, and that we had people in Detroit that couldn't even get insurance for their car, and they were paying thousands of dollars just to drive every month. That was devastating. Sometimes legislation has unintended consequences. We've seen that with this legislation. In fact, the governor knew that there was going to be a lawsuit when she decided to give away the catastrophic injury fund and give $400 checks back to everybody in Michigan, even though these people were desperate to find out how they would continue to get care. Now that the lawsuit has gone through, you're going to get a bill for $48 because she gave you those checks just a little too soon. And we have to make sure we take care of those people who had that contract to make sure their lives are the same quality as they were before.
Governor?
Mrs. Dixon is showing you how ill-prepared she is for this job. The governor doesn't decide for the Michigan Catastrophic Claims Association what the checks are going to be.
Mrs. Dixon?
I'm glad she admitted that, because her commercials are constantly saying that she gave $400 checks back to everyone. So I'm glad she's admitting that those checks didn't come from her, and she actually isn't putting money back into the pockets of the Michigan people.
All right, thank you both.
Yeah. Mrs. Dixon, next question goes to you. I'm going to try to take this in a slightly different direction, and perhaps you might not need rebuttals on this. In the interest of civility, and certainly something that Governor Milligan, the longest-serving governor of this state, talked about, I want to ask you to encourage the best and the brightest to enter the field of public service. What can you say positive about your opponent and the political party that she represents?
My opponent always talks about her daughters. And as a mom of girls, I think that's so important to come out and encourage your daughters and love your daughters. She has also made sure she's fought for women, and I love that about her. I think that we can continue that tradition and make sure we take care of women and make sure women are protected in the state. It's so important.
All right. Governor, same question.
I would have said something very similar, actually. I know how hard it is to run for office and to raise kids. And so my hat's off to anyone who's willing to do it. I think moms' voices are important. We obviously have very different perspectives. All moms are not the same. But I appreciate how difficult it is and applaud any woman who is willing to put herself out there, at the same time balance all of the different pressures that we working moms have.
I mean, I'm at least
Would you like a rebuttal?
I don't know how.
I didn't think so. All right. Elle?
All right, changing gears a little bit. So we had one epidemic that was sort of eclipsed by the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm curious how you'll address the opioid crisis here in Michigan. So starting with Governor Whitmer, how can you address the influx of fentanyl with the ongoing opioid crisis here in our state?
Well, let me start with this. You know, I often talk about my own mother who died of brain cancer right after my first daughter was born. I was in that sandwich generation where I was taking care of two different generations of my family. And I know how hard that was. And that's why I've worked so hard to expand access to health care. I worked with my predecessor, Rick Snyder. When I was in the Senate, we got Medicaid expansion done. And today, 1 million more people have health care because of that work. There is no question that we have got an opioid crisis in this country. It was a greedy pharmaceutical company that buffaloed the people of this country and has created a lot of addicts. That's why the resources that we are putting into addiction treatment, the resources that we are putting into ensuring more people have access to health care is so incredibly important. This is a space where we've got more good work to do, but we are making progress.
Mrs. Dixon?
Well, we've seen a massive increase in overdoses. 2021 was the highest number we've ever seen. And we can directly correlate this to the Whitmer-Biden policies of having an open border. We know that drugs are pouring across our border every day. We've seen overdoses rise since this administration took office. It's been devastating, and that's why I've presented my Safe State plan to put $1 billion new into policing, to make sure we have enough police on the streets. I just went to the Oakland County Crime Lab the other day. The woman there was testing two giant blocks of cocaine, and then she pulled out one of fentanyl. I said, where did that come from? And she told me it had come from just down the street in Pontiac at a house. I asked her how many people that fentanyl could kill, and she said millions. If we had more officers on the streets, we could be preventing a lot more overdose deaths. I want to make sure that we have the backs of our cops and we invest in our cops and we make sure they have what they need to fight this horrible scourge on our country.
Governor Whitmer, if you'd like a rebuttal, I'm also curious if you'd expand things like access to Narcan or anything else to address the problem tomorrow.
Absolutely. So I think one of the big things that we haven't yet talked about but need to is about crime. We know that our police put their lives on the line every single day. I, as governor, have made too many phone calls, attended too many funerals. And that's why I have delivered over $1 billion more for law enforcement in Michigan, to recruit, to train, to make sure they've got the wraparound support so that they can do their job. It is a hard job. But this is, I think, one of the most important things that we haven't really yet talked about.
Thank you, Governor. Mrs. Dixon, Narcan?
Narcan is obviously very important, and we have seen that we have our Walmart pharmacies that distribute it a few times a year, and it's also our police officers have it around the state. But I think it's very important to note that it's not just about going out and having cops on the street. It's also about taking care of our corrections officers and making sure that when someone commits a crime, that we get those drug dealers off the streets and they can't commit more crimes and cause more death in the state of Michigan.
Thank you both.
So this is our last question. I have to read it very quickly. Last week, the CDC recommended adding COVID-19 vaccines to the recommended immunization schedule for both children and adults next year. Got to be very adamant about this. This is not a mandate. This was a recommendation. This happens every single year. So as governor of Michigan, do you take them up on that recommendation and make sure that the COVID-19 vaccination be required for school attendance, Mrs. Dixon?
Yeah, I want to be very clear about this. This is a parent's decision. There will never be a mandate for the COVID-19 vaccine for children to go to school in a Dixon administration.
She's got my vote.
I'm anxious to hear what Gretchen Whitmer has to say because she was forcing the vaccine on people. You remember her program, Vax to Normal? You could only get your liberties and freedoms back if you got your neighbor vaccinated. She will likely push this on your children. I want you to know that I will never push the COVID-19 vaccine on your children. That is your choice, and it will always be your choice as long as I am your governor.
Governor Whitmer?
No, I do not support requiring the COVID vaccine for children.
Bullshit.
Well, let's talk about COVID. It hit our state hard. It hit this community incredibly hard. We had hospitals that were full. We had morgues that were full. We had refrigerated trucks outside of hospitals because we didn't even have enough masks for our doctors and didn't have a place to put deceased people. We made quick decisions to save lives, and studies show we saved thousands. I am proud of that. But while I was getting death threats, saving lives during COVID, my opponent was sowing conspiracy theories. She was saying that kids couldn't get impacted, no need for masks. She even said vaccines carried the mark of the beast and government trackers. It's that kind of foolishness that actually endangers people. If she had been governor during COVID, thousands more people would have died.
Mrs. Dixon?
If that were at all true, why would I have gotten the vaccine myself? The governor is being dishonest once again, but that's what you do when you don't have policies to run on, when you killed more seniors than almost any other state, when you were told to stop the policy, but you kept it going, when you had such extreme unemployment fraud that you lost $8.5 billion worth of taxpayer money. She crushed our economy. 3,000 businesses, 3,000 restaurants died under Gretchen Whitmer and never came back. She kept our kids out of school.
Mrs. Dixon, I'm sorry, I have to keep us on time. Thank you. One more rebuttal from you, Governor.
I think you know what our priorities are. Hers would have been the bottom line. Mine were children. Mine were seniors. Mine was protecting people. As soon as vaccines became available, I deployed the Michigan National Guard to work with our nursing homes to make sure that if seniors wanted the vaccine, that they got it. And COVID rates plummeted. Had she been governor during that same time, thousands more nursing home residents would have passed away.
Thank you both.
Thank you, Doug. Candidates, it's now time for your closing statements.
It sounded like you said thank you, Dad.
That we would reserve 90 seconds each for you all to be able to do that. According to the agreement and the draw that we had before, Governor Whitmer, you go first, and Mrs. Dixon, you get the final word.
Well, that was fast, and thank you for participating. You know, as I think about the next 4 years and our future, I can't help but think of my own kids and all the young people in their generation. They're going to be making decisions about where to build their lives, and I sure hope it's in Michigan. In a second term, I will stay focused on building a Michigan where every person can get a good paying job with a secure retirement, send their kids to great schools with great teachers, know that they're going to be safe in their community, free from discrimination and hate, and make their own decisions about their bodies. This is an important election. My opponent has shown tonight that she's more interested in dividing us, halting our progress, and dragging us backwards. When she's not scripted and on stage, she stokes violence, spreads conspiracy theories, even attacks working women and teachers. You know, we need to come together and solve problems. As governor for, 4 more years, I hope to have the opportunity to continue this service, and I will always put your interests first. I want to thank all the Republicans and independents who have supported me. I want to thank all the police organizations and business groups that have endorsed me, and of course, my longtime supporters. I say let's continue to move our state forward, build a brighter future for future generations. This is a great state, and our future is bright. Asking for your vote.
Mrs. Dixon, your closing statement.
Like many of you, I had children out of school for several years. Like many of you, I had a small business crushed. And like many of you, I lost a loved one. Gretchen Whitmer doesn't want to be defined by her carelessness, her dishonesty, or her hypocrisy during that time. But even if we didn't look at that, we would look at her governorship as a disappointment. Her radical policies have crushed the state. Her choices have been destructive. But don't worry, there is another choice. Michigan, you're not better off now than you were 4 years ago. In fact, we're in the top 10 for crime in the nation. We're in the bottom 10 for reading and math in the nation. We lost 82,000 jobs, and we lost more small businesses than any other state. Gretchen Whitmer will stand on the stage tonight and tell you that's success. but you've all felt the pain of her failure, and you deserve better. If you choose me as your governor, I will put cops over criminals. I will put parents over politics. I will put students over systems. And I will make sure that we put money back into your pocket and we do a better job with the money that we have. I'll bring back common sense, and I will make sure that we have better schools, more jobs, safer communities, and reliable roads. I want to be your governor, and I want to bring back a family-friendly Michigan. I ask for your vote on November 8th, and I promise to serve you well. God bless you.
Governor, Mrs. Dixon, thank you so much for coming in, for engaging in not one, but two statewide debates, the last one being today, and facing the voters. This is very important before they go in and make their final decisions on Election Day. We also want to thank our partners at Oakland University for being wonderful hosts here and all that we've put them through. They've been good sport, and we appreciate it. Yep. And I want to thank my fellow panelists, Elle and Doug. Thank you so much from Grand Rapids and the city of Lansing.
They'll get me for that damn music, so I'm not playing the music. You know what I'm saying? Well, that's done. I know Eden's whatever keeps going in the chat and be like, we need jury deliberation watched countdown.
Blah, 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 blah. That's Eden. That's my version of Eden's vision voice. Blah, 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 blah.
I told you it was going to be 8 o'clock. They're supposed to come back, and she's got a matter that came to her attention earlier in the day. It also came to my attention that I may have had a hot mic on while I was saying goodnight to my wife. That's okay. Big deal. Like, sorry, I'm not going to get to see her at all today because I'm here with you fuckers. Okay? But yeah, I was asking what's for dinner. Can you make me a plate, please? Because I'm fucking starving and I'm not buying food. I'm not. We have a goal for all this money that I've been making during these live streams to like pay the bills and shit, you know? That's what we're doing. But Eden's vision said, blah, blah, blah. Oh, you're busting my gut. Yeah, yeah. Oh, so you guys really heard what I was saying. Steve said, I love you. Is there more pie? Yeah. My mother actually came to our house this weekend and we were talking about pie. So my mom, in the nice way she is, she went out and bought us a pie. So, and it was apple pie, and I forgot to eat some yesterday. So I asked if there was more, and my wife said yes, she will make sure to leave me a slice of pie. So I'm fortunate because my family loves me, and I want to eat pie because it's good, and it's apple pie, and then we have vanilla ice cream to put on it if I wanted to, but I probably won't do that. I'll just have pie. Someone said you could always drink coffee. Yeah, I'm not going to. Charles Thompson said, what's next? Pay rent? Yeah, I got to do that too for the store and the warehouse. And then our mortgage. Unbelievable. It's crazy. Because you're a special widow man. I am a special widow man. How'd you know? It's not what she calls me. Because I ain't little. Is the Dr. Oz debate going to be live here? Or is there a different website I have to go to get it? I see a lot of people. Let me see if I can find where they're sourcing the video from. I don't know. Where is Dr. Oz on? We're going to show it. We're going to have Dr. Oz on until the jury comes back. We'll switch over to the jury, and then we'll switch back to Dr. Oz for that debate. And then yeah. So if you guys want to like support me and shit for staying up like super late with you guys can do that via any of the links over there. You can send Cash App, Super Chats, Facebook Stars, Twitch Bits. What's DLive do? Nobody knows because, you know, whatever. And everyone's like, how come you don't stream to Rumble? Because I haven't been able to figure out how to get paid from Rumble. Every time I try to ask them, hey, how do I withdraw the money that people paid me last year? I never get a reply. So I kind of just gave up on it and don't give a fuck about it anymore. It's crazy how there's so many It's live starting now. I keep refreshing for all the live ones. And all I see is like all the restreamers that are going to be doing live reactions. Carrot pie, Virginia Realtor said. You mean carrot cake? Carrot cake is very good. I'm not gonna restream Tim Pool. He's my nemesis. You know, for a long time I said I would never go on his show. I would go on his show. We're close enough. I wouldn't be able to hang with their debates though. Tim Pool he's very smart. He's very smart. They have like intellectual conversations. I'm the kind of person that's like, fuck them. You know, I would go on his show though. We're close enough. I think he's like less than an hour away. Fucking easy. Easy. Trying to find it. April, can you see if you could find it? I don't even know if you're watching. You probably had to go do stuff. But if you are live, can you see if you could find me a link and send it to me on Slack? Did anyone win the TV? Nope, not yet. I didn't do it. But I should do that right now too. So let me get that together. Export. Let me do it this way. See, they were trying to be fancy. Who's gonna win the TV today? Let's do that right now. So all day long, I've been running this thing where if you made a coffee order from gratiscafe.com, I would select one lucky person, and they would win television. All right, gotcha. Gaston with a $25 Cash App. Thanks, homie. So I'll pick that TV winner right now. Export. Selected. All right, let me do this because I don't want it to show on screen because sometimes I fuck up and it ends up showing on screen. And we don't want to do that. Like normally when I open the spreadsheet, sometimes it will. See? Good thing I did it. It would have opened right on screen and I would have doxed all of you coffee drinkers. That's because I'm fucking awesome though. So I figured it out. Next trial update should be coming anytime soon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the order number. I'm going to take... Some of you are going to have double entries, and I don't know why. I'm not going to eliminate all the double entries. I think... yes, I will. Fucking A. How do I do this again? Sort. Isn't that under the data tab? Filter. Can't I do it by filtering? No. Isn't it remove duplicates? Damn it. It's going to take forever. Whatever. Let me do it real quick. 61, 60, 59, 58, 57, 56, 55, 54, 53, 52, 51, 49, 45. Up. Turn it on. There's no audio. That's not me. There's no audio. This is live from the courthouse, though. Turn on the audio, bitch. No, I'm just kidding. She's talking. There's no audio on this feed. This is important. Hold on.
That she had received an email.
I'm going to get fucking copywritten. Here.
That the person sending the email had found a post on Justice for Darrell on Reddit. So it's a subreddit. I'm not familiar with how Reddit works, but, and that the thread on the Justice for Darrell Reddit site was claiming to be a member of the jury pool. And I am going to provide the parties with the information that I was given this morning. It's a color copy of the attachment and the email that was sent. The email was received by the clerk of court at 9:10 a.m. Then my clerk received a notification at 9:30 a.m. that The clerk of court wanted to speak with me. You may recall this morning I stepped off the bench for a little bit of time. I read through the information that was provided to me, which was an email, and then the attachment, which is a color print off. Looks like the person took a screenshot, and that the anonymous post claimed to be a member of the jury on the case, and here are my thoughts on the trial and on this subreddit. And apparently, again, it's a subreddit called Justice for Darrell. All those, Justice, the number 4, and Darrell, all, no spaces. I then had contact with Captain Dussault, advised him that this should be investigated, and basically turned over the matter to law enforcement for a full investigation. At this point, or at that point, I made a determination based upon my review of the information that I would not stop what was happening in terms of the trial with the instructions to the jury and ultimately the closing arguments, and then turning the case over to the jury for deliberations. And of course, I am concerned about the integrity of these proceedings, and I will take whatever action that I deem appropriate once a full investigation is done. But at this point, there is no, I would say, credible information that this is in fact a member of the jury. But I will leave that for law enforcement to determine, and of course, if need be, at the conclusion of the case, when the jury reaches a verdict, I certainly will consider whether any questioning of the jurors at that point is warranted. So that's the information I wanted to provide. Again, copies of this information will be provided to the parties, and there is a full investigation underway by the Sheriff's Department. I have no further information about it at this time. I will not be the judge that will further be reviewing it in terms of any requests related to that investigation. I will simply be handling whether any requests as it relates to this case in particular. And I hope we have the copies for the parties. And we'll provide those. Go ahead.
I'm making sure you was
Go ahead.
first. What is this?
All I can tell you, sir, is that there is apparently on the internet, on a site, or maybe it's an application, I'm not entirely sure, called Reddit. There's a subreddit that is entitled Justice for Darrell, and it was on that subreddit that someone wrote an anonymous post claiming to be one of the jurors. That, of course, would be a violation of the rules that I set up for the jurors, which is why I turned over the information to law enforcement so they could make a full and complete investigation.
For the record, I accept for value in return for value these documents. I'm confused.
At this point, sir, I'm providing the information.
Whoa. This is not, if this is real.
That any request needs to be made of this court, then an appropriate request will be made. But at this point, I'm just advising the parties of the information that I have. And I will add this. I will, of course, it's important that the results of any investigation be turned over to the parties. I don't know how long that will take, but
It's not real.
That is also my direction. That was really the only direction I gave to law enforcement, is that the results of the investigation that be turned over to the parties.
Was this? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Was this just found out about this morning?
Yes, the email that was sent to the clerk of court was received at 9:10 a.m. And then that email and the attachment, I'm aware of a second, I'm aware of a second email that was sent to our clerk of court at 10:02 a.m. And I think when we stepped off the bench following the case being given to the jury, I was advised that other emails had been received throughout the court system. And I simply said, obviously that information needs to go to law enforcement. I haven't seen it, haven't reviewed it. But any person who works in the clerk of court's office who has received an email that email about this topic will be forwarded to the sheriff's department. Their forensic unit is handling the investigation, to my understanding. Attorney Upper, did you have a question or something to state?
Yes, Your Honor, I just wanted to state for the record that I have also received similar emails at my office this afternoon. They were sent not to me directly, but to the district attorney's office website. And I only wanted to point out that in viewing the contents of the posting, fake. Well, first of all the emails refer to the exact same posting and the language is the exact same in all the postings. In viewing the content of the posting, we question the veracity of the posting because it refers to things that, quite frankly, are not true. And also, upon reviewing it, Your Honor, we came to the conclusion that it does not exhibit any material prejudice against Darrell Brooks that may affect the veracity of any verdict that may be returned in this case. The posting is largely critical of the court and to some extent the prosecution, but the nature of the posting is actually in support of Mr. Brooks.
Yeah, it's stupid because this was written 19 hours ago, right? So here's the subreddit. This was written 19 hours ago.
That it suggests the juror harbors substantial or material prejudice against the defendant.
Thank you. I appreciate the additional record.
Can I say something, Your Honor?
Go ahead.
Just briefly skimming through
it. I have no objection. That's what he's going to say.
I do want to state for the record that I have no involvement with this. I'm really shocked like this even came to light.
We have a solution.
All right. Are you guys over this shit?
I will say.
All right, press 1 if you want to continue this, or 2 if you want to go over to the Dr. Oz, and I'll just listen to this on my end.
These are definitely things that have been talked about in the court, so common sense would say that this came from someone that has either been in the court to hear what goes on in the court or a jury member. There's no other way.
Well, actually, the proceedings are live streamed worldwide, Your Honor, available on YouTube worldwide, so I don't agree with that assessment.
Well, it's pretty obvious that this will come from
He's trying to say it's real. He didn't talk about jury nullification until after the jury was out yesterday. So the only way someone would have known about that is if they watched the videos online.
To do a full and complete investigation. Again, I take the integrity of this process incredibly seriously. And if there were to be a juror who violated the rules, I would take that very seriously, and I will not hesitate to take any action that I deem appropriate.
I'll throw the subreddit in the chat.
It is simply being investigated. This was an anonymous post, and if either party believes any further action needs to take place as it relates to this particular jury, then I trust they'll file the appropriate request with the court. So with that, the courtroom, go ahead. I'm sorry. Something else, Attorney Alper?
A different topic, Your Honor.
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
While we're all together, I just wanted to address exhibits and what the court's procedure would be. We have no objection to any exhibits going back to the jury room if they are asked for, and precluding the requirement that we all assemble every time a note comes out asking for one exhibit. So as long as we're all here and we have some time, maybe we could discuss that.
Well, I'm willing to discuss that. Do you have any position on that, sir?
Yeah, I would object from the standpoint that I would need to see any exhibit that's being asked about and the relevancy of that exhibit being asked for. I think that's only fair.
Exhibits that have been received, a relevance objection would no longer be valid because the court has already ruled on the relevance and the admission of the exhibits. The issue is whether it goes back to the jury room. I'll give you for example. Sometimes in a trial there are...
Guys, I don't want to watch this shit anymore. Not to hear some stupid back and forth with Darrell Brooks for the next 5 fucking hours. I don't want to do it. You guys can go watch that. I will come back. I'll keep paying attention to social media, but I'm not going to sit there and watch him for the next 5 hours just complain about stupid shit. I don't want to do it. So I'm going to put on the Dr. Oz debate and we'll watch that for a bit.
Specifically about the ads being pulled off the air, and then we
have been received. And
what did I just do? God damn it!
If you believe that the choice for abortion belongs between
Why is
you
the
and
audio?
your doctor,
It won't shut
that's
off.
what I fight for. Roe v. Wade, for me, should be the law. He celebrated when Roe v. Wade went down, and my campaign
The audio sucks
for
here.
Roe v. Wade, and if given the opportunity to codify it into law.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Fetterman. Going back to you, I want to circle back to something that you said, Mr. Oz. You mentioned the decision to regulate abortion should be something that is left up to the states. Now, Republican Senator Lindsey Graham has introduced a federal bill to ban abortion after 15 weeks. I know that you've been asked about this question before. If the vote were held today, you were elected senator, you're on the Senate floor, the clerk calls you, there's a roll call vote. Are you a yay or a nay? How would you vote on the Lindsey Graham bill? You have 30 seconds.
Lisa, I don't even need 30 seconds. I'll give you a bigger answer. I am not going to support federal rules that block the ability of states to do what they wish to do. The abortion decision should be left.
I knew that feed was going to do it because the feed fucking sucked. The whole fucking feed froze. Ugh. The whole feed froze. Watch. I bet if I go to every single page, they're all frozen. Everybody's feed just froze. Oh wait, no, that one's live. Let's try to refresh it, see if it goes.
You're on the Senate floor. The clerk calls you. There's a roll call vote. Are you a yay or a nay? How would you vote on the Lindsey Graham bill? You have 30 seconds.
Lisa, I don't even need 30 seconds. I'll give you a bigger answer. I am not going to support federal rules that block the ability of states to do what they wish to do. The abortion decision should be left.
It's this feed. I'm trying to find a different one. April, can you please find me a different one if you can? They put his closed captions on there. Oh, that's so Dr. Oz can read it. The problem is I got a bunch. There's just restreaming it, so I can't find one that doesn't have their stupid ass commentary over it. Most of them are liberals. Why is it so hard to find the fucking thing? Here, I found it. I found one. Is it? Or is this the same fucking shitty feed we're watching now? No, I didn't find it. Come on, you fuckers. Here we go.
He's misrepresented what I've said, but he also said something very dishonest. Support 38 weeks of mandated rules by the federal government that would prevent any state from blocking it. So that's not Roe versus Wade.
That's not true. I support Roe v. Wade. That's
simple.
John, you
Roe v. Wade.
said specifically you would support
All right,
a
thank you,
federal
Mr.
rule
Oz.
on 38
Mr. Oz,
weeks.
thank you.
But how
Thank
could-
you.
That's,
We
I think it's
Videos
important
are
that John
not
at least
good.
acknowledge that he's not honest here because you said the
All right,
opposite
Mr.
on
Oz,
TV.
we must continue on. Mr. Fetterman, turning to you, we have a follow-up question. Would you support allocating federal funds to transport women who live in states where abortion is banned to states where they can get one, and why? 30 seconds.
I would. I would, because I believe
Standard
abortion rights
operating
is
procedure,
a
which
universal
is-
right for all women in America. I believe that abortion is health care. And I believe that that is a choice that belongs with each woman and their doctor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Fetterman. Turning to the next issue, Dennis.
Thank you, Lisa. Let's turn to what has become one of the key themes of this race, fitness to serve. For these individual questions, there will be no rebuttals allowed. Mr. Fetterman, we begin with you. You suffered, as you mentioned a moment ago, a stroke 4 days before the May primary. Last week, you released this note from your doctor saying you can work full duty in public office, but you have not released your detailed medical records surrounding your stroke. Mr. Fetterman, will you pledge tonight to release those records in the interest of transparency? You have 60 seconds.
To me, for transparency is about showing up. I'm here today to have a debate. I have, speeches in front of 3,000 people in Montgomery County, all across Pennsylvania, big crowds. I believe if my doctor believes that I'm fit to serve, and that's what I believe is appropriate. And now with 2 weeks before the election, I have run a campaign and I've been very transparent about being very open about the fact we're in use captioning. And I believe that, again, my doctors, the real doctors that I believe in, they all believe that I'm ready to be served.
Follow up. I didn't hear you say you would release your full medical records. Why not? You have 30 seconds.
No, again, my Dr. L believes that I'm fit to be serving, and that's what I believe is where I'm standing.
Okay, Mr. Fetterman, thank you. Mr. Oz, you have built a lucrative career around medicine, but you've been criticized even by some fellow physicians for promoting, quote, unproven, ill-advised, and at times potentially dangerous treatments. What is your response to that? You have 60 seconds.
One of the great blessings of traveling around Pennsylvania is you run into people who have watched the show. They thank me very much for giving them life-saving advice on chronic issues like high blood pressure or dealing with their anxiety. The show did very well because it provided high-quality information that empowered people, which was exactly what I want to do when I'm a senator. Give people the power. Let them make decisions for their well-being. Now, John Fetterman's approach to health is a very dangerous one. He believes we should socialize medicine. He embraced this with Bernie Sanders, who he endorsed. The two candidates call themselves the two most progressive people in America. When you have socialized medicine, Dennis, you shut down the ability of people to get access to healthcare. Doctors stop practicing. There are no medications available. The lines get long. It's a disaster, and it puts people at risk. So I don't believe we should allow socialized medicine, the abolition of all private healthcare insurance in America, and radical positions like the ones taken by John Fetterman make him too extreme to serve. If we're going to bring balance to Washington, you got to bring people who understand the ramifications. Even Joe Biden called John Fetterman's idea, I'll quote him, preposterous.
Mr. Fetterman, I'm going to let you respond in just a minute, but I have a follow-up for you first, Mr. Oz. Did you or your company make a profit from promoting those products? You have 30 seconds.
I never sold weight loss products as described in those commercials. It's a television show, like this is a television show. So people can run commercials on the shows, and that's a perfectly appropriate and very transparent process. I ruffled a lot of feathers on my show because I told people the truth, and I'm proud of that. I'll do the exact same thing as a U.S. senator. But there's no way to defend what John Fetterman has done with socialized medicine. That is a radical departure from what we in America have accepted.
I must
relationship between
respond to that.
John, you'll have your turn. John, let me finish.
Respond to that.
There must be a relationship between a doctor and a patient, and that's what I would direct patients to do.
Thank you. Mr. Fetterman, he accused you of socialized medicine, supporting socialized medicine. What is your response?
Again, it's the Oz rule.
That was dishonest. He explicitly supported socialized
Mr. Oz,
medicine.
we have a lot of topics to get to. I think we did this. Lisa, you go ahead.
We are going to move on to the next topic, and this has come up earlier, and that is the issue of fracking. Pennsylvania only trails.
Fuck off.
Bernie Sanders, 3 years ago, he was on his show and he hugged him and he said, I love this guy. You know what? Why don't you pretend that you live in Vermont instead of Pennsylvania and run against Bernie Sanders? My truth is that I believe in expanding that, and I believe about fighting for health care, the kind of health care that saved my life.
Dennis, that was dishonest. He explicitly supported socialized
Mr. Oz,
medicine.
we have a
Bernie
lot
Sanders.
of topics to get to. I think we did this. Lisa, you go ahead.
We are going to move on to the next topic, and this has come up earlier, and that is the issue of fracking. Pennsylvania only trails Texas in terms of natural gas production. Both of you have taken shifting positions on the issue of fracking. Mr. Oz, we begin with you. You wrote a column in 2014 calling for no fracking pending health study results. But in a video posted on social media in March, you said, quote, natural gas guarantees high-paying skilled jobs right here in Pennsylvania. So back off, Biden. Give us freedom to frack. Mr. Oz, please explain that changing position. 60 seconds.
I've been very consistent. Fracking has been demonstrated. It's a very old technology to be safe. It is a lifeline for this Commonwealth to be able to build wealth, similar to what they've been able to achieve in other states. For that reason, I strongly support fracking, drilling, the piping of that natural gas. In fact, I'd build a facility even in Philadelphia so we can export it to our allies and help them, the ones that are struggling now in Eastern and Western Europe because of the Ukrainian war. John Fetterman calls fracking a stain on Pennsylvania. He says that he would sign a moratorium to ban its continued use. He's against pipelines. He voted or supported the vote against the Keystone pipeline that ended up shutting it down. He supports Biden's desire to ban fracking on public lands, which are our lands, all of our lands together. This is a extreme position on energy. If we unleashed our energy here in Pennsylvania, it would help everybody. Why John Fetterman is so rigidly stuck on fighting against energy companies is stunning to me, because it's the jobs I want. Tens of thousands of high-paying jobs to help Pennsylvania.
Thank you, Mr. Oz.
Oz rule.
Mr. Fetterman, 15
I absolutely support fracking. In fact, I live across the street from a steel mill, and they were going to frack to create their own energy in order to make them more competitive. And I support that, living closer to anybody else in Pennsylvania for fracking to myself. I believe that we need independence with energy, and I believe I've walked that line my entire career. I believe Democrats...
Mr. Fetterman, I do have a specific question, which you can continue on this topic, but you have made two conflicting statements regarding fracking. In a 2018 interview, you said, quote, I don't support fracking at all. I never have. But earlier this month, you told an interviewer, quote, I support fracking. I support the energy independence that we should have here in the United States. So, Mr. Fetterman, please explain your changing position. 60 seconds.
I've always supported fracking, and I always believe that independence with our energy is critical, and we can't be held, ransom to somebody like Russia. I've always believed that energy independence is critical, and I've always believed that, and I do support fracking. I've never taken any money from their industry, but I support how critical it is that we produce our own energy and create energy independence.
I must correct the record.
Just a second, Mr. Oz. I do want to clarify something. You're saying tonight that you support fracking, that you've always supported fracking, but there is that 2018 interview that you said, quote, I don't support fracking at all. So how do you square the two?
I do support fracking, and I support fracking, and I do support fracking.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Fetterman.
I'm sorry, Lisa. There's not just a statement you read. There are multiple. There's pictures of him signing a moratorium.
We have to move on.
But we have to get the fundamentals of the truth out here. John Fetterman over and over again took positions against energy.
We have a lot of topics. You will have the chance to have that in your
closing. One comment then. The energy industry is living in fear of John Fetterman. I want to know why.
Mr. Oz, we want to now turn to public safety. Mr. Fetterman, Republicans have called you dangerously soft on crime. The Pennsylvania State Troopers Association has endorsed Democrat Josh Shapiro for governor. But in this race, it endorsed your Republican opponent, Mr. Oz. What is your response to those endorsements? And what is your response to accusations that you are, quote, dangerously soft on crime? You have 60 seconds.
Now, I believe that I run on my record on crime. I ran to be mayor back in 2005 in order to fight gun violence, and that's exactly what I did. And working with the police, and working with our community, I was able to stop gun violence for 5.5 years as mayor. Ever accomplished before or since my time as mayor, because I'm the only person on this stage right now that was successful about pushing back against gun violence and being the community more.
Shut up. Breaking news. Breaking news. The jury has asked for 3 exhibits. The big map that they were showing, Erica's photo of her face being beaten, and then the video of the dancing grannies getting run over. That is per April that the jury has just asked for 3 exhibits, the big map, the Erica photo, and video of dancing grannies. It's the latest update from Trial Watch. I'm eating chips because I'm fucking starving.
Skyrocketed in Braddock. I mean, the town wasn't in a good shape when John got there. It got worse when he was there. People kept leaving. So, of course, you're going to have all kinds of aberrations. But, John, the city was dangerous under your leadership. And that's why
I want to turn to you now, Mr. Oz. This past summer, Congress passed the first gun control bill in decades. That would not have happened without the support of the man you are running to replace, Pat Toomey. How would you have voted on that bill? And would you continue Toomey's legacy as being one of the lead Republicans in Congress on pushing for gun reforms? You have 60 seconds.
I have been supported by Pat Toomey. I've enjoyed working with him. I think he's done a wonderful job. There are parts of that bill that I like a lot. For example, I like the fact that there are background checks that are being strengthened now, so we can make sure that people who should not have guns don't get guns. I also like the fact that there was a lot of money invested for mental health, which is an important part of the equation. I've been to Philadelphia. I've done prayer vigils with Black clergy leaders who are desperately trying to save the people in their community. Half the murders in Philadelphia are committed by people under 18. We have got to get mental health services to these people, and it's not happening now. But part of the problem is that we have taken away the ability of police to do their job, and that's on John Fetterman. Because John Fetterman has taken such a harsh position against them. He's undermined them at every level, taken away some of their funding. He's pushed for Krasner, who he admires tremendously, and he's spoken highly of him just this week. He's taken his policies to a new extreme. He's argued that people should be let out of jail without any bail, no matter what they did to get in there. He's argued to release 1/3 of all prisoners. 1/3 of all prisoners out of touch.
Quickly, 15 seconds. Would you have voted for that Pat Toomey supported bill? If you
I would have tried to improve that bill. There are things that I think most of us appreciate. I wasn't there at the time, so I can't speak to what was possible. But I do know there are parts of that bill that do make sense, and the ones I described should be followed. Let's see how it works out.
Okay. Thank you. Lisa.
On to our next issue, and that is illegal immigration. It has been a problem in the United States for decades, but it is now spiking. U.S. Customs and Border Protection just released numbers from fiscal year 2022. They show more than 2.7 million total enforced actions in the U.S. That is the most ever. Mr. Oz, beginning with you. Republican governors in the South have been sending migrants to Democratic-run cities and states without a plan or without any coordination. It is certainly gaining a lot of attention, but is it an effective way to deal with the influx of migrants? You have 60 seconds.
Lisa, we have a catastrophe at the border, and we should not have sanctuary cities as John Fetterman has tried to introduce. But I've been into the parts of Philadelphia and Allentown and Reading where we have large Latino populations. I understand the challenges of the border. My father was an immigrant. My mother were immigrants. I understand what legal immigration offers us, but the completely porous, open nature of our border, which John Fetterman supports, has created a humanitarian crisis with cartels profiting with human trafficking operations. They take the money, they buy narcotics from China and bring that into our country, and it's making every state a border state. Pennsylvania is already a border state because we're top 3 in the country in fentanyl overdoses. Lisa, I can't go anywhere where and giving any big event where I don't meet multiple people who say their personal lives have been destroyed because of fentanyl overdoses. Yet John Fetterman not only wants an open border, not only supports sanctuary cities, but he wants to legalize all hard drugs in America, including narcotics. That is, out of touch with everybody. That radical position was tried in Oregon, which he endorsed, 50% homicide increase rate.
Oh, one moment. I will give a 15-second rebuttal.
Yeah, that is, again, the Oz rule. That is just not true. Here, his family's company was levied the largest fine for immigration hiring of immigrant illegals. And I think he should sit this one out about in terms of what a secure border.
All right. We do have a follow-up specifically for you, Mr. Fetterman. Vice President Kamala Harris says The southern border is secure,
What
yet
the
we
fuck
are
did
seeing
he
an
just say?
unprecedented number of migrants crossing. Is the border secure? And if not, what would you do to fix what both parties are calling a crisis? You have 60 seconds, Mr. Fetterman.
I believe that a secure border can be compatible with compassion. I believe we need a comprehensive and bipartisan solution for immigration. That's what I believe. I don't ever recall in the Statue of Liberty did they say, take our tired huddle masses and put them on a bus and use cheap political stunts about them. I believe we have to develop a comprehensive and bipartisan solution to address our issue here for immigration here in our nation.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. On to the next issue.
John's not addressing the elephant in the room, fentanyl.
We have to move on to the next issue. We will be circling back on that.
Turning now to foreign policy. Mr. Fetterman, what do you believe is the greatest foreign threat to the United States of America? You have 60 seconds.
I believe is right now is China. I believe China is not our friend. And I believe that we can't be able to push back and we need to stand against China. And I believe that Dr. Oz has chosen to manufacture all of his merchandise on his name on it in China. Which one of us on this stage is going to stand up against and stand firm against China? And I believe that's our single biggest issue right now, to make sure that we address China and make sure that we know that it's not our friend.
Mr. Oz, what do you believe is the greatest foreign threat to the United States of America? You have 60 seconds.
The fact that our country is not projecting strength. Take, for example, what we're doing with Iran. In order to try to get them to give us a little oil so we can deal with the catastrophe that Russia has caused, we have gone to them and tried to sign a deal that would allow them once again to have the nuclear power to blow up Israel, which they promised they would do. John Fetterman supports that deal. It doesn't make any sense for America to treat our enemies better than our allies. We have to message with our strong voice and the energy we have in our country that we have control over our future. And the best way for America to establish its dominance is to unleash the energy here in Pennsylvania and across the country. By not doing that, not only do we cause all kinds of problems with local jobs and inflation, but we're destroying our ability to remain energy dominant, and we're not able to become allies like we should be for countries like European nations, which are going to struggle with their coldest winter ever. It's the best way to punch Putin back and to teach China a lesson is American energy to reign supreme. And John Fetterman doesn't like American energy, and they are scared of him because they know they can't trust him. He's proven it.
Mr. Oz, thank you. Lisa.
All right, on to our next issue. In our recent Nexstar poll, a hypothetical rematch between Joe Biden and Donald Trump in 2024 would be a statistical tie in Pennsylvania. 46% of people said they would vote for former President Trump, 45% for President Biden. Mr. Oz, would you support a Trump 2024 run, and why? 60 seconds.
I'll support whoever the Republican Party puts up. And I have reached out across the aisle on my campaign because I want to bring balance to Washington. And I've tried to work with Democrats and Republicans and people in the middle, people unsure, and people who forgot, and people who got angry with where their party was headed. I want to bring us together to make this country do what it's always been able to do. Unify, not divide, and address the problems as a surgeon, because in the OR, that's what I do. I just fix the big problem in front of me. John Fetterman, however, cannot go to Washington and work with the other side because he doesn't even get along with his own side. He criticized Joe Biden for not spending enough money and not sidling up close enough to Bernie Sanders. He says he won't work with Joe Manchin. He said, if you like Joe Manchin, don't vote for me. So if you're picking fight with your own party, you're not going to be able to reach across the aisle to the other side. His extreme positions have made him untenable for Republican lawmakers. We need to send someone to Washington who understands the importance of balance, sensible decision-making, and a common sense approach to the challenges that we all face. That's not John Fetterman.
Mr. Oz, Donald Trump has supported you. He has endorsed you. Why won't you fully commit to supporting him in 2024?
Oh, I do. I would support Donald Trump if he decided to run for president.
All right.
But this is bigger than one candidate. This is a much bigger story about how we are going to build a bigger tent to let more Americans feel safe.
Are you concerned about the ongoing legal investigations involving the former president? 30 seconds, sir.
I haven't followed them very carefully. I've been campaigning pretty aggressively. They'll work themselves out. I have tremendous confidence in the American legal system, and I believe law and order will reign supreme. But speaking about that topic, there's one person on this stage who's broken the law, we believe. John Fetterman took a shotgun, chased a unarmed African-American man, and put the gun, apparently, according to that man, to his chest. John, you weren't pulled over by the police. They let you go. You were the mayor at the time. Why haven't you apologized to that unarmed, innocent black man who you put a shotgun to his chest?
All right, we will allow a 30-second response to that, Mr. Fetterman, specifically what he was saying, referring to the incident in Braddock.
I made the opportunity to defend our community as the chief law enforcement officer there. Everybody in Braddock, an overwhelming majority community of black community, all understood what happened. They understood what happened, and everybody agreed that, and nobody believes that it was anything about me making a split-second decision to defend our community as well.
Why not apologize?
Mr. Oz, please. We are still with Mr. Fetterman. Turning to you right now, you support a Biden run. Do you support a Biden run in 2024? Why in 60 seconds?
That's honestly, it's up to his choice whether he, and if he does choose to run, I would absolutely support him. But ultimately, that's ultimately only his choice.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Fetterman. A follow-up question on this. Our Next Star poll shows 51% of Pennsylvania voters disapprove of the president's job performance. You have publicly supported many of his policy positions. Are there any that you disagree with? 30 seconds.
No, I just believe he needs to do more about supporting and fighting about inflation. And I do believe he can do more about that. But at the end of the day, I think Joe Biden is a good family man. And I believe he stands for the union way of life. And I believe that unemployment is already down to the lowest level in the last 50 years.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Dennis.
Let's turn now, gentlemen, to the issue of Social Security. It is only fully funded through 2034. Many Americans are worried that they will never receive their full benefit or have to accept cuts to their benefits. Mr. Fetterman, how are you going to make sure it is there for them? You have 60 seconds.
We need to make sure that Dr. Oz and the Republicans believe in cutting Medicare and Social Security. And I believe that they have to support and expand Social Security. And if somebody sends me...
All of these feeds suck really bad.
To send me to Washington, D.C., I would support and stand and to support security.
Of our nation, they worked their hearts out. They paid into a program. No one's going to touch it on my watch except to make sure that it's stronger than it is right now. Social Security, Medicare, which I know a lot about as a doctor, are the fundamental element of security for our seniors. And saying that I'm against those with no proof. I've never said anything different than what I'm saying to you on this stage. But in an effort to fearmonger with people who are older and can be taken advantage of, he'll run these ads. John, it's
This is fucking stupid, dude. They can't even. Why do you have a shitty news organization that can't do it? Let me try to fix it again. It's just not fucking playing, dude.
First places that I would use it is Social Security and Medicare. And here's the reason. One of the worst things we can do to a people is give them bad quality care. And so if you have people who are not going to see a doctor, for example, because they can't afford it, they'll get sicker. Bad medicine means more cost. No one benefits.
Thank you. Mr. Fetterman, he said a few things a moment ago. I want to give you...
What the fuck, bro?
Just say one thing other than that Dr. Oz would not support, and he would support cutting Medicare. And that's
John, why do you say that? I've never said that.
It's absolutely a fact. It's a fact. You would have voted against the Inflation Reduction Act, which has dropped our prescription drugs. And he doesn't believe...
Okay, gentlemen, we need to move on. Lisa.
All right, we are moving on to the topic of education. The cost of college tuition is now out of reach for many, many families. Our question is for both of you. We start with Mr. Oz. What is your plan to bring down the cost of higher education long term? You have 1 minute, Mr. Oz.
I've worked in academic medical centers my whole life, so I'm in higher education. And I can tell you the reason that the prices have gone up sixfold in the last 40 years is not because the education quality is better. We've added extra layers of middle level individuals who don't actually improve the quality education, in my opinion. There's a lot of expenses now incurred by these institutions, and it's not right for the American people to be stuck with the bill. I would push them to offer more electronic classes. Half the kids don't live on campus anyway. John Fetterman's approach, however, is not to deal with the unnecessarily high costs, but just to pay it. So if you want to pay students who didn't pay their loans back, basically what John Fetterman and Joe Biden are arguing for is for plumbers who didn't go to college and couldn't, for a bunch of reasons, afford it, to pay the bills of lawyers who went to graduate school and haven't paid their debt back. I don't think that's right for the American people. We want a fair system. Drop the cost down by pushing for more value for the money we're spending, and then ensure there's a high-quality education that lets people make a living when they graduate.
All right, I will allow a 15-second rebuttal specifically on the issue of student loan debt, which Mr. Oz was referring to. Mr. Fetterman.
Again, Dr. Oz, loves free money when it's a $500,000 tax break on one of his, homes down in a ranch in Florida, and whether it was a $50 tax break, about his farm in Montgomery County. So it's about supporting and helping, young earners, young students to give them a break. I believe that supporting.
All right, let me just ask specifically with the plan to ease student loan debt, the debt forgiveness of $10,000, $20,000 for Pell Grant recipients. Do you support that position?
I do absolutely support that. I believe, like I said, it's about helping young learners, be able to get a better start, getting off in the start of their life. And I do believe that, and I believe a majority of Americans support that as well too, helping young learners.
All right, Mr. Fetterman, I want to ask you the same question that I asked Mr. Oz. And what is your plan to bring down the cost of higher education long term? You have 1 minute.
Yeah, I don't think he didn't answer. He didn't answer the question whatsoever.
I did answer the question.
Mr. Oz, please give him a moment.
You didn't. I fundamentally believe that every quality public university education should be very affordable in every state. And I think that needs to be a significant investment, to make sure that anyone be able to afford to go to get a 4-degree university degree, at Penn State or at Pitt or any state schools, to make it much more affordable. And that means acquiring a significant investment to make sure and create it affordable that every family can afford.
How exactly, Mr. Fetterman, do you propose doing that to make it more affordable for families?
No, I just believe making it that much more. It costs too much, and I believe providing the resources to reduce the tuition to allow families to be able to afford it.
All right, we have a follow-up question. This one now is for both of you. This is from News Nation viewer Ann Andrews, a registered nurse from Conneautville near Erie. Ann is a vocational educational instructor for a university and a practicing registered nurse.
If you were elected, could you please tell me what you would be doing for vocational education in the state of Pennsylvania as well as our nation?
So, Mr. Oz, if elected, what would you do for vocational education? You have 30 seconds.
I've visited vocational schools. I have an answer. But, John, because obviously I wasn't clear enough for you to understand this, there's no question that cutting out the middle levels of higher education and providing digital programs would reduce the cost of education. It's a concrete set of ideas that I'd like to move on. With regard to vocational education, this is really important for us to allow our trade unions to get more closely linked with the vocational schools. I was in a vocational school in Westmoreland, and they have about 1,000 kids. They could take 2,000 kids. Funding those programs is the smartest way to invest our tax dollars. We'll turn out twice as many children who have a job as soon as they graduate. It supports our trade unions who want those kids in their positions anyway. It makes the whole program work.
Thank you, Mr. Oz. Mr. Fetterman, if elected, what would you do for vocational education? You have 30 seconds.
Again, I think it's just the same way the university for degrees as well too, supporting that and partnering with the unions and making sure that vocation training are is affordable and providing the resources to make sure everyone has the opportunity. Going to college isn't the right choice for every person, but going to those kind of vocational schools, able to create a career to reach a lot of high salary, and again, supporting to reduce those costs are critical too.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Dennis.
Moving now, multiple members of Congress, specifically Democrats, have called for the Supreme Court to be expanded. Candidates, we want to know where you stand on this. Mr. Fetterman, should the Supreme Court be expanded? And if so, by how many justices? You have 60 seconds.
I don't believe, I don't stand, and I don't believe in that. I fundamentally believe that even though I don't agree with the ideological breakup of the Supreme Court, I believe it's not about changing the rules. It's about acknowledging where we're at, much the way the Republicans want to try to change the Constitution about how our Supreme Court in Pennsylvania is going to be done, and I don't support that. So I think it's critical that we be consistent, and I do not believe in supporting the Supreme Court.
Mr. Oz, same question to you. Should the Supreme Court be expanded? If so, by how many justices? You have 60 seconds.
I would never touch the makeup of the Supreme
and
Court.
And is vocational
I would
educational
advocate to leave it the exact same size it is. But John Fetterman's radical positions have spilled over into what he would do in Washington. One of the first things he has said, and he came back to the campaign trail, is that he wanted to bust the filibuster, which means removing the brakes on the Senate overreacting. That's
true. That is true.
But if you do that, then you would free up the Democrats in the Senate without getting the normal amount of votes to actually expand the Supreme Court, add more states, do things that are detrimental to the well-being of the country. So I think, on your first day back, arguing that we should get rid of the filibuster is a dangerously radical move that would hurt Washington. It's not in our nation's best interest.
Thank you both very much.
All right. At this time, we are ready for our closing statements. You each have 90 seconds to convince Pennsylvanians to vote for you on Election Day. Mr. Fetterman, you are first. 90 seconds.
Once again, I would just like to say that my campaign is all about fighting for anyone in Pennsylvania that ever got knocked down, that had to get back up again. I'm also fighting for any forgotten community all across Pennsylvania that ever got knocked down, that had to be made to get back up. I've made my entire career dedicating to those kinds of pursuits. I started as a GED instructor back in Braddock over 20 years ago because I believe it's about serving Pennsylvania, not about using Pennsylvania for their own end interests as well. To me, careers are revealed by your real underlying values. And my values have always been about fighting for forgotten communities all across Pennsylvania.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Fetterman. Mr. Oz, your final thoughts, 90 seconds.
I've loved traveling to the four corners of the beautiful Commonwealth, and I've heard your problems. I'm a surgeon, doctor. I listen to what you say, and I'm trying to help address them today. I've talked to seniors worried their Social Security checks wouldn't go far enough with the raging inflation. I've talked to couples want to make their first down payment on a new house and they can't afford it anymore because of interest rates. I've talked to families.
You want to cut Social Security.
Mr. Fetterman, it's his turn for his closing.
I've talked to families worried about fentanyl showing up in their mailbox and literally taking the lives of their children who they find blue in bed. I've talked to families who won't let their kids go outside because of the crime wave that's been facilitated by left radical policies like the ones John Fetterman has been advocating for. But here's the deal. Right? None of this has to happen. This is all very addressable. I'm a surgeon. I'm not a politician. We take big problems, we focus on them, and we fix them. We do it by uniting, by coming together, not dividing. And by doing that, we can get ahead. But I've got one question to challenge you with, just one question. If you take what I'm saying to heart, ask yourself this and others in your family. Are you unhappy with where America's headed? I am. And if you are as well, then I'm the candidate for change. I'm a living embodiment of the American dream. I believe we're the land of opportunity, the land of plenty. I believe we can balance a budget without recklessly spending. I believe we can have an unleashed energy policy that helps us all. I believe that we can have safe city streets and a secure border so legal immigrants can come across, but you shut the...
Important issue in Pennsylvania. The eyes of the state are on this debate.
It sounded like he said, shut the fuck up.
Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia as the state's two NFL teams go head-to-head. Mr. Fetterman, Steelers or Eagles, and why?
Oh, clearly, always for the Steelers.
Mr. Oz.
I'll be at the game rooting for my Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly.
Gentlemen, thank you both so much. This does conclude our debate. We do want to thank our candidates for being...
That was a fucking quick debate. That was a quick debate. I guess we were having some issues with Facebook and it was cutting out. It wouldn't continue playing. Not quite sure why. Don't know if it's back up. Maybe they were just like, oh, we don't want you to actually like show what's happening. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to kill both Facebook feeds and then I will turn it back on and we'll try for the 5th fucking time. But that's over. So that's good. We're happy about that. This is a live feed in the courthouse. We're still waiting. They did request some shit, which we'll talk about here in a second. They did request some stuff. All right. So apparently the jury asked for 3 exhibits, the big map, the photo of Erica, Darrell Brooks' girlfriend, that was beat up. And they also asked for a video of the dancing grannies to be played around 40%. So, which is weird that they even needed any evidence whatsoever. You know what I mean? I'll be honest. I was a little surprised at that. But that's what they needed. I'm thinking that I just got banned on Facebook because I have exactly 0 viewers. Oh, she's back.
Is to make key introductions, and I'd
Whoa,
like to and some introductory remarks, and I'd like to recognize some folks.
Shut up. Shut up. Let me refresh this. I don't think this feed has audio. Hold on.
We request exhibits 3 and 4. Exhibits 3 and 4 are videos. They are the videos from White Rock, I believe elementary school, door 1 and door 2.
Yes, correct.
How long are each?
Wow. I can't believe they're debating this long. I didn't see that one coming. Did you guys?
Exhibit 3 is 4 minutes and 14 seconds. And exhibit 4
6 minutes or so.
Is 6 minutes and 58 seconds.
7 minutes.
Okay. My inclination would be to play each one time, since they're a little bit longer, and play them one after the other. From the state, their evidence. Agreed. From the defense.
Objection.
And the jury's requested to look
Noted
at them.
for the record,
So any specific reasons, I will be playing them for them. We'll do exhibit 3 first, and then exhibit 4 shortly thereafter.
Will you be addressing subject matter jurisdiction?
Shut the fuck up with your stupid subject matter shit. Shut up. You're lucky you're not going to fry.
No, I will not.
That is judicial
Shut
determination.
up, dude. Doesn't he get tired of saying the same stupid shit over and over? He has to.
You're not asking me.
Is that a tacit agreement, Your Honor?
All right, they are ready.
The arrow in the middle of
Oh, we can get rid of that clear annotation.
Is that a tacit agreement, Your Honor?
So maybe what they're doing now is they're debating. So the jury earlier today, the jury requested 3 exhibits: the big map, the photo of Erica being beaten, which you're seeing on your screen right now while you're seeing the confrontation. So I guess the jury is watching this video live.
Yeah,
So the jury is now, they're obviously weighing the domestic violence the domestic abuse charge is what they're weighing now. So this is one of the school's forward-facing cameras. You should see them in the upper right-hand corner of that video. Eventually.
You're asking it to be stopped. Any objection from the state?
No.
From the defense?
No.
Okay.
Oh, no shit. They're doing it live from the courtroom. That's pretty fucking dope. I thought they just wheel like a TV in there.
Switch to Exhibit 4.
That's pretty cool. I didn't know that. Don't put other YouTube links in my chat, please. Did they start with the last charges first? Or maybe they just got through all of them. They're like, he's guilty, he's guilty, he's guilty. And now they're trying to go to the domestic to figure out whether they're going to charge him with the domestic. That could have been it. We may have a verdict tonight. Can you fucking imagine how awesome that would be if we got a verdict tonight? I am on YouTube because Facebook is seemingly not working. I don't understand. I guess Facebook may be having issues. It's not an issue with me. Unless I'll get a notification later that I got banned or something. I don't think so. What time is the jury supposed to rest for the night? They haven't said it. The judge said she was going to let him go for a little bit. And the fact that they're being this proactive is good. Oh, you see his vehicle right there. Look, there's the red car right there.
They're finished with that. Any objection to stopping that video?
No.
All right, Mr. Brooks?
No.
All right, it'll be stopped.
Judge, for the record, this one was stopped at 1:38. Do you know what time we stopped it on Exhibit 3?
35 seconds, I think.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
She looks tired.
I would think you might want to stay close by.
Yep, I think so too.
We reached the state.
I'm not sure you did, but.
I think so too. Look at that oddball. Oddball is a woman with a $10 super chat saying all you could afford. That's okay. You know, we have 1,100 people watching right now. So if every single one of you that are watching just do $10, then it's worth it. Because I'll be honest, I've been up now live streaming for 11 and a half hours. 11 and a half hours. So I wouldn't mind some appreciation via Cash App, Venmo, or PayPal. If you like the commentary, if you don't like the commentary, you can go watch Law and Crime or something like that. But I try to provide some commentary for you. You know what I'm saying? Is Steve there? I know he isn't quiet this long. Can you guys go on the Facebook chats and tell them that they got to watch on YouTube? Something's wrong with Facebook. Put the Facebook links in there, if you will be so kind. Someone said, yeah, the red vehicle that just made an illegal turn. Look at that. Lindsay with a $5 super chat. Budgeting, but I hope it helps. Oh, it certainly does. Matter of fact, you know what today is a really good time to do right now? Let's give away a TV. Ready? I already got it preloaded with everybody. Check this shit out. Ready? So the way this is going to work is anyone who made a coffee order in Cafe Gratis website, which is actually Gratis Cafe, which is our coffee company, I'm going to spin this, and one of you who placed an order, these are your order numbers on the side, one of you who placed an order will win a 32-inch flat screen Roku television. Isn't that exciting? Ready? Here we go. Here we go. It's going to be 6820. 6820. Order number 6820 is a winner for the day. Let me go over and see who that is. I always like it when it's a regular. How come that didn't show up? That's not the right number. Ha! You guys all got punked. Those are the wrong numbers. These are the old numbers from the last time I did because I'm like, wait a second, the new numbers start with ones. Sorry. So hold on. Here are the new numbers. I fucked it up. These are the old numbers that were preloaded. That was just a trial, so you could see. All right, here are the new numbers. These are for the coffee orders. How do I close the
And come back tomorrow. So I said they should assemble. We'll get the alternates because they're sequestered.
Oh, so they want to come back tomorrow. They're leaving. That we weren't meant to hear that. We weren't meant to hear that. Did you hear that though? We weren't meant to hear that. They're gonna go home and come back tomorrow. Yeet donation hype.
To break for the day. I need to
They're breaking.
basically tell them that because they're breaking for the day, they should not continue their deliberations while sequestered until they're back in the jury room. So I'll read a modified kind of version of instruction 50. We are in the record.
Thank you for the super chat.
Subject matter jurisdiction.
So we'll do the TV thing
Time
right
to
after
address
this.
that further, sir.
Will it be proven for the record?
Sir, my earlier decision, I stand behind it, my written decision.
Court
Great
begin the
decision.
usual
That's
time
not
tomorrow,
based on any
probably.
law or fact.
So I guess I'll be doing an all-day jury watch tomorrow. Fun. I can't believe they just asked to watch those videos and then they're like, we're going to take a break. Maybe someone said we're going to sleep. I'm going to sleep on it. Maybe there's one holdout. Maybe there's just one holdout. You're good, Katrina. Other people are helping. Pissed off nurse with a $1 super chat said thanks for the buddy. Or the funny, the entertainment. Thanks, buddy, for the entertainment. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm going to go home and eat some pie and go to sleep. It's 9 fucking o'clock. He'll fall in the shower. Doubt it. Susan Ann with a $10 super chat. Thank you. And thank you everyone for doing the cash apps too. I really appreciate those. I like those better than the, we have Ashley and Michael, Holly and Mike as well. So I appreciate all of you guys for your cash apps and Venmos. I like those because I get them right away and there's no person taking 30% like YouTube does. But feel free to send YouTube if that's easier for you.
Can you see them?
Helps me budget for next month, you know. Russell
They're
with the $10
assembling
super chat. Thank you.
Other alternates, they're in a different place. So you have to get
Yes.
Teal Ladybug said, I appreciate you can't afford to donate. That's okay.
I thought it was 2 people that got excused from the
Eden's
jury.
Vision is going to donate on your behalf. I'm
There were
just kidding.
15.
Larry with
No,
the
I'm
super
saying I
chat.
thought it
Thank you,
was
bro.
2 from the 16.
No, only one.
Wait, does your PayPal one work? Yes,
You
it
did
does.
say 2.
All you just do
said
is
one had got
PayPal
excused
to that
before,
email
and
address
then
down at the
another one
bottom.
was getting excused.
Or the link
No,
is
I
in
only
the
excused
description
one.
of the video as well.
We've had 15 since the first juror was excused.
So what happened to that second
Shut up.
one that had to...
So real quick, the Reddit thing, don't worry about that. It's fake, and it's certainly not anyone that this scumbag knows that did that. That is someone that was trying to do exactly what
No
they
need
did.
to
They
get
got
in your
talked about.
feelings. It's been a long day. I'm tired too.
Shut up. Nobody cares. Go back to your
Agreed.
cell. Bubba's going to get you. Teresa with the
Just
Cash App.
let
Thank
me
you
know
so
I'm not
much.
gonna rehash that stuff.
Yeah.
I just thought you said 2. You said 2 on the record.
Are the donation websites in all caps as written on the screen? What? Yes, those are the donation names. So on Cash App, it's Freight Broker Live. On Venmo, it's my name. On PayPal, it's that one. Yep, over there. You can also click on the links that are in the description of the video and contribute that way if you would like. So yes, breaking news. The Darrell Brooks trial is breaking for the day. The jury is going to come in to the courtroom probably. and she's going to give them some orders. Man, what a day today has been. Because we watched... All Rise. Should have played a song. Too late for that. When are you going to be groovy giving away free coffee? I'm not going to give away free coffee from this. We give away free shipping anyway. Bill with a Venmo. Thank you, dude. These people are stupid. There's literally morons on Twitter saying that John Fetterman won that debate. There is no way. If people believe that, then America is doomed, and we're not coming back from this.
Please be seated. The record to reflect, I have the 12 jurors who have been deliberating, plus the 3 alternates who were sequestered in a different jury room. I want to give you kind of a modified instruction from the one that you've heard many, many times throughout this trial. Of course, for the 12 who have already started to deliberate, do not deliberate unless you're in the jury deliberation room. And that will mean from when you are discharged here tonight until you come back tomorrow in the jury deliberation room. Do not discuss this case among yourselves or with anyone else until you are deliberating in the jury room. This order is not limited to face-to-face conversations. It also extends to all forms of electronic communications. Do not use until you come back tomorrow in the jury deliberation room. Do not discuss this case among yourselves or with anyone else until you are deliberating in the jury room. This order is not limited to face-to-face conversations. It also extends to all forms of electronic communications. Do not use any electronic devices such as a mobile phone or computer, text or instant messaging or social networking sites to send or receive any information about this case or your experience as a juror. I realize you are sequestered. We've taken away all of those things, but I'm just going to keep reading through this. If you come in contact with the parties, lawyers, interpreters, or witnesses, do not speak with them. For their part, the parties, lawyers, interpreters, and witnesses will not contact or speak with the jurors. Do not listen to any conversation about this case. Do not research any information that you personally think might be helpful to you in understanding the issues presented. Do not investigate this case on your own or visit the scene either in person or by any electronic means. Do not read any newspaper reports or listen to any news reports on radio, television, over the internet, or any other electronic application or tool about this trial. Do not consult dictionaries, computers, electronic applications, social media, the internet, or other reference materials for additional information. Do not seek information regarding the public records of any party or witness in this case. Any information you obtain outside the courtroom could be misleading, inaccurate, or incomplete. Relying on this information is unfair because the parties would not have the opportunity to refute, explain, or correct it. Do not communicate with anyone about this trial or your experience as a juror while you are serving on this jury. Do not use a computer, cell phone, or other electronic device, including personal wearable electronics, applications, or tools with communication capabilities to share any information about this case. For example, do not communicate by telephone, blog post, email, text message, instant message, social media post, or in any other way on or off the computer. Do not permit anyone to communicate with you about this matter, either in person, electronically, or by any other means. If anyone does so despite your telling them not to, you should report that to me. I know you're not going home. You're going to another location, but do not discuss this case among yourselves with any other juror until you are back in the jury deliberation room tomorrow. This case must be decided by you, the jurors, based on the evidence presented in the courtroom. People not serving on this jury have not heard the evidence, and it is improper for them to influence your deliberations and decision in this case. After this trial is completed, you are free to communicate with anyone in any manner. These rules are intended to assure that jurors remain impartial throughout the trial. If any juror has reason to believe that another juror has violated these rules, you should report that to me. If jurors do not comply with these rules, it could result in a new trial involving additional time and significant expense to the parties and the taxpayers. You are to decide the case solely on the evidence offered and received at the trial. With that, you are all excused for the evening. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. All rise for the jury.
Look at his face, dude. I can't believe there may be someone that's held out. I can't believe. I seriously can't believe we don't have a verdict right now. Deborah with the Cash App, thank you so much. Apparently, Facebook's live streaming went down for virtually everyone. That's why we could have been having issues trying to.
All right, thank you, everyone. We are in recess. We'll see everyone tomorrow morning at 8:30.
8:30.
8:30 a.m. I trust that the jail will give you a shower. So whether that's tonight or tomorrow morning before you come back to court.
Yes.
But I will order that.
In the morning. That's 8:30.
8:30.
Shut the fuck up.
He's got to be some night type thing going on.
That's when we start court every morning, sir.
No, it haven't been.
Shut the fuck up, dude. He is a fucking loser, man. All right, let's do this fucking. All right, so now, does anyone know on this thing how I can. Here, can I do it? So there's no empty spots.
Here, can you just make 2 copies of that?
Sure. That's the old one. How do I remove the empty spaces? Because there's no empty spaces here. What is this? Joke punchline? Oh, do I have to do it this way? Remove that. Oh, okay. I figured it out. This is stupid. There. So now it's full. So these are all the coffee orders from today. So what I'm doing is, so how do I, oh God. Yeah, but how do I make it spin now? Oh wait, this doesn't count. This doesn't count. This doesn't count. Here, let me just block it so you can't see. Because that one doesn't count. That doesn't count. That one doesn't count. All right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to do a drawing. So what I ended up doing, and what I do often, like you just got to watch a lot, is anyone who placed an order on our coffee store, which is gratiscafe.com, GRATIS cafe.com, during our live stream today, and this has been a long one. We're going on 12 hours now. Whoever placed an order today, I'm just randomly selecting one person, and they win a 32-inch flat screen smart television. So, are you ready? And this is random, completely random. It's not a giveaway. It's just me being nice. Okay, that's how this works. So let's see who's a winner. And these are your order numbers, by the way, if you're curious, if you did order. 1052 is going to be it. 1052. Let's see who 1052 is. And then I'm going home because I am fucking tired. Oh, great. Longtime viewer. Penny. Penny won a TV. Penny won a TV. She won a TV. Don't write it in the chat. And no, because there's trolls in here that are like, oh, you want a TV? Email me. Nope. Penny, I have your address. I have everything from the order. That's where your TV is going. Because Penny placed an order for an Italian blend, Supreme Dark, and medium house roast today. Shout out to Penny from Florida. So I'll send out your TV in the morning. All your coffee orders that I got today will be going out tomorrow as well. So shout out to you guys. I'll be live tomorrow at 9:30 Eastern time, as I have been all week, to run a live stream pretty much all day until we do get a verdict. All right. So we will see who wins. Or we'll see. Well, does society win, or or has hell frozen over? Because that's the only way he should walk, if hell froze over. You know what I mean? I don't know how I have a patron, but I just got a patron. Patreon. I didn't even know I have a Patreon account, but apparently I got a Patreon, a new subscriber. I got to figure that one out. I don't even know how that works. Oh, and if you think John Fetterman won that debate tonight, you are certifiably a fucking moron, just to be honest with you. Yeah, just being honest. Jack said Steve sounding like Fetterneck right now. It's because I'm fucking tired. It's what happens when you work all damn day. But you know what? I did it for you guys, all right? We'll see you tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. on the East Coast, 5:30 a.m. on the West Coast for a live whatever. Just wait, There's going to be lots of
this voice tomorrow. A little bit of this. Maybe we'll do some role playing of what Darrell...
No, we won't do that. That would be gross. Yeah. Pretty soon he's going to go to Gen Pop. Yeah. Remember when I said that today? Who was in the chat when I made that joke and I laughed hysterically for like 15 minutes about what Gen Pop actually means and why Darrell Brooks doesn't want to go there? Yeah. Oh, man. That cracked me up so much. I literally started crying because of laughter. It was hilarious. It was hilarious. It was so good. It was so good. Fire Captain 202. 202. I was like, what, are you a fire captain in DC? Can I get a ride along? Nah, I already did that. You know what I want to do one day is I want to ride. What are the fire engines where they steer from the back? I've never been in one of those things. I've been in ladders. Obviously, I was on a ladder when I did it. I've been in engines. I've been on TAC vehicles. I've been in ambulances. That's the only thing I haven't gone. I forgot what it's called. You know what I mean? Where they steer from the back as well as the front. It's big like a tractor trailer. Those ones are good. I've never done that. Someday I'd like to ride on one of those. But someone said all lives are down. Yes, on Facebook. Facebook is having a live streaming crisis, so nobody is live on Facebook. They're going to have to... what is that? They're going to have to redo their live streaming. Anyway, guys, I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow. Congratulations, Penny, for the TV. All right.